Chapter 640. Seeing Han Zaixin. Chapter 640. Seeing Han Zaixin, although Tang Beiwei didn't really know why she felt uneasy. But ever since she started cultivating, she had gotten this sense of what might happen in the near future. She carefully sent her spirit sense out and saw a food delivery man. She sighed of relief. Was she being too careful? Just when she was about to open the door, she noticed that the man had a gun. She realized that she was being too careless. Tang Beiwei took out a fireball charm. If the person charged inside, she would throw it. Although she was at stage 2 now, she didn't know any moves except fireballs and wind control. But just then Tang Beiwei saw that the man picked up a call, turned around and left. He disappeared quickly. After the man left, Tang Beiwei bought a phone and called Yimo. In a coffee shop, Yimo heard Luo Ying's story and realized that these people were either from the Black Sun Empire or Northern Sand. Let me call Beiwei. As soon as Yimo grabbed the phone, Beiwei called. Knowing that she was fine, Yimo felt relieved. Beiwei, although I don't know why they suddenly backed out, you still need to be careful. How about I come back and take you to Beijing as well? Tang Beiwei knew that Luo Ying had found her brother and felt relieved. She didn't want to be the third wheel in Beijing. So she reassured him, Brother, I'm fine. I have spirit sense now, and I can use wind control and fireballs. I still have plenty of fireball charms, so no one can do anything to me, don't worry. Yimo thought for a bit and agreed. Although she was only stage 2, she was a Dao cultivator. It would be hard for a black-level early-stage martial artist to keep up with her. Although she couldn't beat them, she could run away. Then Yimo got up and said to Luo Ying, Let's go visit an old man and earn some money. Then we'll go to Ninghai and take Beiwei to Luo Yu. Luo Ying agreed. Although Yimo didn't mention again the people who had tricked Luo Ying into the plane to Beijing, he had made up his mind that he would annihilate them before he went to the small world. Now that he had finished his business and he was with Luo Ying, he didn't need to keep the mask on. He washed everything off in the toilet. Yimo knew that those people had probably guessed who he was. But so what? When Yimo and Luo Ying went to Han Zaixin's place, it was already afternoon. Yimo mainly came for the ores, but he also wanted to see Li Hu and Zhang Ju. They were quite close. Although he had helped them, they also helped him before too. When he faced the Song family or when he needed them to protect Yiling and Yi Zifeng, they had helped a lot. Knowing that Yimo was coming, Han Zaixin came out to greet him the moment he stepped in. When he saw Luo Ying, he couldn't help to approve of Yimo's taste. Both Ning Qingxue and Luo Ying were much prettier than Han Yan. Elder Han, call Li Hu and Zhang Ju over to eat as well. I haven't seen them for a long time, Yimo asked. Han Zaixin sighed. I called you over this time because of them. Yimo frowned. What's this? Han Zaixin hesitated before saying, Last time we talked, I already told you about the Space Flower Blueprints issue. Even if we can't get it, we can't let other countries have it. So when news of it got out, some countries sent their masters to retrieve it, and so did we. Yimo was speechless. Even Li Hu and Zhang Ju went. Han Zaixin nodded. Not only them. The country has also sent 8 other people. 10 elites went, but it's been a few months and there's still no news from them. I'm very worried. So, you called me so many times to get me to help you see what's going on. Yimo wasn't feeling comfortable. Li Hu and Zhang Ju were his friends, and he had told Han Zaixin many times that it was useless, even if they got the blueprint. However, he had still sent people to die. If Li Hu and the others were fighting against Northern Sand, how could they win? Ever since they had developed the light-speed gun, not even he could ensure a clear victory. Han Zaixin looked guilty, but still nodded. Yes, I realize that no one but you can help. I know Luo Yu is yours and you're busier than me, but I really have no other way. I can't afford to lose the 10 Flying Snow's elite members, nor the blueprint. I won't blame you, even if you don't want to help, but I need to do everything I can despite knowing that they might not be alive. Then Han Zaishin paused and said, "Don't worry about Luoyu, I never told anyone about it." Hearing this, Yi Mo felt a bit more comfortable. Yi Mo's expression relaxed and asked, "Doesn't Beijing have a heaven squad? Why don't you ask them?" Han Zaishin smiled bitterly. Ever since he fought with Tan Jiao, he went into solitary training. After the hidden sex tournament, Tan Jiao and Wan Qingfeng disappeared together. Tan Jiao's disciple Su Shi also disappeared, and even Song Yangzhu is gone. After that, we rarely see anyone from the hidden sections. They almost never come out, and they haven't asked us again to give them orders. I don't know if this is good or bad. The president knows that I came to you for help, and he agreed that only you can help us. Yi Mo hadn't expected that Tan Jiao and Wan Qingfeng would disappear. When he heard of Song Yangzhu, he immediately remembered what happened in the tent at Nei Snow Mountains, how she was so wild and clutched him so tightly, as though she was trying to squeeze herself into him. He got lost in his thoughts, wondering if that woman was okay. Yi Mo, Luoying called him. She could feel something wasn't right with Yi Mo and grabbed his hand. Yi Mo held her hand tightly too and cast those thoughts aside. No matter what, he already had Luoying and Qingxue. After a while, Yi Mo patted Luoying's hand and said to Han Zaishin, "Elder Han Zhangju and Li Hu are my friends. I will go have a look. And I'll say this one last time. Even if you found it, the space flower blueprint is useless to you. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do about it. I know, but if things were to happen again, I would have still gone for it. Some things you can't just let go because you don't want to, and this time it's not just about the space flower," Han Zaishin sighed. "Let's not talk about this now. What intel did you get, and what exactly is going on?" Yi Mo asked. Han Zaishin nodded and said, "Do you know the Ice Helm Island?" Yi Mo shook his head. Han Zaishin continued, "It's in the Atlantic Ocean. It's not very big, about 1,000 square kilometers. This island is surrounded by glaciers. If it wasn't for something that happened a few months ago, no one would have known that there were people there. A bunch of crazy people." Chapter 641, Ghost Island. Chapter 641, Ghost Island. EMO conjectured that it might be a northern sand base. Han Zaishin continued, "A few months ago, a fast jet ski appeared near the Beaufort Sea with a man nearing death on it. The jet ski went past a cruiser, and the man was saved. The first thing he asked for when he could move again was a computer. With it, he sent out a massive amount of images and intel, all about research data of some labs under the Ice Helm Island. A group of scientists was researching all sorts of crazy weapons there. The intel that MAM sent out was only a small part of it, yet it had huge worth. Shockingly enough, one of the images was of a flying saucer in the making. That wasn't a flying saucer, though, it was the space flower. Yi Mo understood that someone else must have escaped from Northern Sand, and that person must have wanted to relay this information to the world in order to stop Northern Sand. Han Zaishin said solemnly, "I think you already know, but that was a Northern Sand base, and that man was someone who ran away from Northern Sand. Although I don't know how he got out, but Northern Sand is indeed building weapons that can threaten the whole world in that base." Now, before the man could finish sending the images, the cruiser was rammed and sank into the ocean. Rammed? Not attacked by a weapon? Yi Mo asked in wonder. Han Zaishin shook his head. Indeed, it's as though it rammed into a reef and the cruiser just sunk. A small part of the people on board survived, but the man who escaped also sank with the cruiser, and the data in his hands was lost. But because of all that data being sent out, many countries sent men wanting to get their hands on the space flower or on the other weapons, right? Yi Mo sneered. Han Zaishin smiled bitterly. After that happened, Russia, the US, and Canada sent out ships immediately. The Ice Helm Island base did blow up most of its facilities and managed to transfer some important things, but they were too short on time. Russia's and the US's ships started to attack the island pretty soon. Meanwhile, the island seemed to be meant only for doing research and had no military power. Hence, it didn't take long to kill off all resistance. But then Russia and the US didn't find anything, except for the remnants of the space flower. Since they didn't find anything, why were people still sent over? Yi-Mo asked in wonder. Han Zaishin sighed, because Northern Sand didn't have enough time to evacuate completely, and no one believed that Northern Sand would have destroyed all that valuable research unless it was really their last moment. They believed the person keeping the data must have hidden somewhere. More and more countries wanted to join the party, and they eventually came to the common ground that each country would form a special squad to send onto the island. The deal was that as long as there were no radiation or human race endangering weapons, then each country got whatever their squad found. Did none of the special forces make it out alive? Yi-Mo asked strangely. Han Zaishin nodded. Indeed, not a single country's squad came back. More people were sent in later, but those also disappeared. With more and more people disappearing, many countries have started to quit. If it wasn't that so many people might somehow still be alive on the island, perhaps the island would have been blown to nothing already. Yi-Mo immediately felt that something was wrong. First of all, how could an organization like Northern Sand let someone escape again after Yi Xing's escape? And this escapee even brought out large amounts of intel. Secondly, although Icehelm Island was pretty big, it was still only an ice island. There were no forests. How could people disappear so easily? Thirdly, the union that had formed would at most propose to form an international squad to go in and search such an important place. How could they agree to let all those different countries go in and play finders keepers? This wasn't a child's game. The main thing was that no one had gone missing before those elite squads went in. Only afterwards did strange things start to happen. Who brought up the idea of sending in elite forces? Yi-Mo asked. Hearing this, Han Zaishin looked at Yi-Mo in shock and said, when the elite forces started to go missing, others also started getting suspicious. But then the senator who had brought up the suggestion suddenly died. Yi-Mo fell into contemplation. The squads the countries sent out would undoubtedly be the elite of the elite. If this really had been a trap, why would Northern Sand want these elites? They weren't scientists. Han Zaishin suddenly said, although Northern Sand has abducted scientists before, they never tried to abduct any of our special forces elites. Perhaps this has nothing to do with Northern Sand? Maybe something happened with the island. Yi-Mo had thought as far as well and shook his head. You're right. They wouldn't do that because it would be pointless. Even if they could use them to train stronger people. Even if they could assassinate Preside Yi-Mo stopped there. What if they wanted to assassinate Yi Xing? Yi Xing's use to Luo Yu was no less than Yi-Mo's. Without Yi Xing, Luo Yu might have lost last time. But then, Yi-Mo thought that perhaps he was thinking too much. No one should know that Yi Xing was in Luo Yu. But what if Northern Sand did know? Yi-Mo knew that his theory was a bit absurd, but what if Northern Sand was really doing all that to kill Yi Xing? At the last Luo Yu battle, Luo Yu dominated the scene when no one could match Luo Yu's electronic interference machine, which had been designed by Yi Xing. Would Northern Sand suspect that Yi Xing had run over to Luo Yu from that? Even if they wanted to assassinate Yi Xing, it wouldn't be easy. Random people wouldn't even be able to get near the core region of Luo Yu, unless Luo Yu suddenly fell apart. But unless there was another war, how could Luo Yu fall apart? War? Yi-Mo thought of the recent attacks on his businesses. If Northern Sand was behind that, then there really might be war coming soon. If Luo Yu fought with a bunch of other countries, then no matter how strong it was, there was a limit to how many countries it could take on at the same time. As Yi-Mo thought about all that, he suddenly felt cold sweat run down his back. If that had been planned out step by Yi-Mo's enemy, then that enemy was too calculative. People like that did exist, for example Dongfang Shi, but it was destined that there would never be a lot of people like that at the same time. All that just to attack Yi Xing? Yi-Mo shook his head. He knew he was thinking too much after all. There couldn't be a plan betting on so many coincidences. Even if they wanted Yi Xing, they wouldn't do all this. But no matter what, Yi still had to call Su Yuehua, Su Ping, and Yi Xing. Just as Yi was prepared to call Su Yuehua, his phone sounded first. Chapter 642. Private Gathering. Chapter 642. Private Gathering. Su Yuehua was calling. Yi said, "Sister Yuehua, I was just about to call you. You go first." President, the Indonesian government doesn't seem to want to comply. Instead, they are ordering warships from a few Western countries, Su Yuehua said. If he hadn't heard Han Zaixin's words, Yi would have started a war without hesitation. Indonesia wasn't that strong, but now Yi had to be careful. Even if he was to start war, he had to make sure to protect Yi Xing and the others. How are you dealing with this? Yi asked after thinking for a moment. Su Yuehua immediately replied, "The rest of the countries that had discord with our business have negotiated conditions, and we reached a common ground. Only Indonesia and Philippines won't budge. They don't want to resolve the conflict at all. We've put on hold all cooperation projects, so they are currently asking for compensation." Okay, Yi nodded. Luo, you wasn't afraid of Indonesia or the Philippines. You did well. Luo, you will now active the war protocol. Tell Yi Xing about this as well. I will be more specific when I come back. And one more thing, increase Luo Yu's security. Make sure not a single person comes in and out without notifying us. Especially Yi Xing, tell him to stay safe. I suspect some people break into Luo Yu. Tell second brother this too, Yi said. Su Yuehua said, after what happened with our outlets, Luo Yu has already increased security. Don't worry, I know. Yi was very satisfied with how Su Yuehua was handling things. Just when he was going to hang up, Su Yuehua started speaking again. And there's one more thing I need to tell you. Liang Jun and Lu Na recently have been acting a bit dodgy. They want to go visit their homes, so I said we'll decide once you come back. Yi Mo's heart sunk. He had a bad feeling. Liang Jun and Lu Na were two of Luo Yu's scientists. They were a couple. They had even brought Luo Yu's new nuclear fission element. Most importantly, they had ran away from the Asian northern sand base. They wouldn't want to be caught again. So why were they choosing to leave Luo Yu at a time like this? No matter what, he had to go back and ask them. Yi immediately said, "They can't leave Luo Yu now. You must wait until I get back. I suspect this is someone's trap. They might have been tricked." Okay, I know. Su Yuehua hung up and immediately sent orders. Han Zaixin heard Yi Mo's words and said, "I know you're very busy right now, but if you need any help with Luo Yu, I can ask the president." Still, Luo Yu doesn't need our help for technology. Theoretically, China is always with Luo Yu. If it wasn't due to all sorts of reasons, we could even help you in the war with Indonesia. Yi heard this and was grateful. He knew that what Han Zaixin offered couldn't be done, but he did seem genuine. He was saying that he wanted to help from the bottom of his heart, but he couldn't really send out troops due to his responsibilities. Yi let's go back first since there's trouble. Luoing was a bit worried. She knew that Luo Yu was Yi Mo's base. All his friends and family were there. If something happened to it, it would be a big blow to him. Yi nodded. He had to deal with these things first before he could help Han Zaixin. Han Zaixin knew what Yi was thinking and said, "You can go back and take care of the matters with Luo Yu first. The Ice Helm Island issue started some months ago. It doesn't matter if we put it aside for a few more days." At this moment, Yi Mo's phone sounded again. It was Su Yuehua again, but her tone was very desperate. She told Yi that Liang Jun and Lu Na had left Luo Yu that morning. They were headed to Sri Lanka. Immediately lock down Luo Yu and control all the sea routes. Yi knew that their departure would only get Yi Xing exposed. They might even spill out some of Luo Yu's military structures. In order to prevent similar things happening again, Yi asked Su Yuehua to lock down Luo Yu without hesitation. After finishing this call, Yimo got up and said to Han Zaishin, Elder Han, I will definitely remember to go the Ice Helm Island. I will go after the problems with Luo Yu are solved. Zhang Ju and Li Hu are my friends. I won't leave them like that. Han Zaishin knew that Yimo was so busy that it was already significant that he had agreed to help him. It was unrealistic for him to put aside Luo Yu matters just to go immediately. Yimo left with Luo Yu. He wasn't even in the mood to ask about the ores. He needed to get back to Luo Yu and solve these issues as soon as possible. Luo Ying suddenly realized that she should start cultivating more, otherwise she wouldn't be able to help Yimo at all. Since Yimo had chosen to build with his strength his own city, she should help him and not be deadweight. As though he knew what Luo Ying was thinking, Yimo squeezed her hand and said, Susu, don't worry, I will deal with this. Also, there's something I've been too scared to tell you about. Yimo finally found an opportunity to tell her about Ning Qingxue. Luo Ying saw Yimo's awkward expression and covered his mouth with her hand. Don't tell me now, let me go see her first. This made Yimo feel even more awkward. He had thought Luo Ying didn't know about it, but she did. It must have been Beiwei, that girl. Yimo! Someone calling his name made him go back to reality. He had been so concentrated that he hadn't even noticed someone approaching him. But he could see who it was now. It Wang Ying. He met her everywhere. There were 2 people next to her, and one of them was Su Jingwen's cousin, Su Mei. Yimo didn't really like her, but that was in the past. Wang Ying, how come I end up seeing you everywhere? Don't you need to work? Wang Ying was someone Yimo could relax around since she was quite open, so it didn't matter if he joked with her. Is that your girlfriend? Wang Ying looked at Luo Ying in shock, wondering where had Yimo found such a beautiful girl to be his girlfriend. Yimo nodded. Yes, she's Luo Ying. Luo Ying, this is my college classmate Wang Ying. She has helped me many times. Hello, Luo Ying. Wang Ying was a little nervous, speaking to such a goddess. Hello, Luo Ying said. By the way, this is Su Mei and her friend. Do you still remember her? Wang Ying said while pointing at Su Mei and the other person. Yimo smiled. Of course, long time no see. Hello, Yimo. Your girlfriend is so pretty. Su Mei felt very strange. She had looked down on Yimo before. Yet he had such a pretty girlfriend. That girl, Luo Ying, was probably prettier than Ning Qingxue. He was really lucky. Wang Ying saw that the atmosphere was a little awkward, so she quickly said, By the way, the handsome and bulky Wang Su brother is back today. He's going to be developing his career in Beijing, so he's inviting everyone to eat. You can join later on too. It's at the Kai Yuan restaurant right in front of us. Many elite members of Beijing are coming. Yimo, if you're going to develop your career here, you must come tonight. Yimo smiled. I won't go. I still have some things to take care of with Luo Ying. Have fun. He had heard of Wang Su before. Yimo had a good impression of him. That's a pity. If Sister Luo Yu came tonight, she would be the #1 goddess, Wang Ying said. Luo Ying suddenly said to Yimo, Yimo, I just saw a person go into that restaurant. He was the person who pretended to be you on the plane. Although he took the mask off, I'm sure it's him. If that was the case, then no matter how busy he was, he had that time to spare. He immediately said to Wang Ying, Okay, but we don't have an invitation. Could you get us in? Chapter 643. Piss Off? Chapter 643. Piss Off. Wang Ying was happy that Yimo and the others would be joining. When they went inside, there were already quite some people there. As soon as they sat down, waiters started to serve wine and juices. Wang Ying sat next to Luo Ying intentionally. She tried asking her about a lot of things, but Luo Ying wasn't good at talking, so she ended up listening on the side. When Wang Ying spoke about Yimo's hardships in Ninghai, Luo Ying would listen carefully and ask something occasionally. When she heard that Yimo had been kicked out of the Yi family and for a while hadn't had money for food, her eyes turned red. Yimo looked helplessly at his big-mouthed friend, but he could only let her do as she pleased. At the same time, he kept his spirit sense on the man who had tricked Luo Ying to come Beijing. He didn't want to touch him for now. He would wait for the rest of his crew to come. Su Mei looked at how Luo Ying acted around Emo and suddenly felt uncomfortable. What did Emo have? He was just an abandoned son that just knew how to act cocky. How had he gotten the love of someone as pretty as Luo Ying? Luo Ying was so pretty that she couldn't even get jealous. Emo, long time no see. How did you get rich? Ever since Emo had rejected her initiation, she had been very unhappy. Emo noticed her condescending attitude, but he just smiled. I'm doing a bit of everything now. I'm not really rich. Su Mei sneered. He must have tricked Luo Ying into dating him. She was obviously just an innocent girl. She would expose him in front of her. For a girl like Luo Ying, anywhere she went, she would be the center of attention. A few men had already come over to talk to her, but one was specially audacious. He was a tall young man. He carried a glass of red wine and came onto her like a gentleman. He bowed and said, "Hello, beautiful lady, I'm Wang Qianjun. Could I have the honor of knowing your name?" Luo Ying frowned and thought that he was being rude. Couldn't he see she was talking to someone else? Wang Ying glanced at Wang Qianjun and suddenly felt that she shouldn't have called Emo and Luo Ying there. There were a lot of people with whom Emo couldn't mess. Su Mei suddenly started to get interested. She had heard about Wang Qianjun. He was Wang Su's cousin and also a member of the Beijing Wang family. He had quite some status. He was very lustful and wouldn't pass by a beautiful lady like Luo Ying just like that. Su Mei really wanted to know what Emo was going to sow. The best outcome for her would be if Wang Qianjue took Luo Ying from Emo in front of his face. That would please her the most. Luo Ying just didn't reply. Wang Qianjun was about to speak again when Emo said, "Wang Qianjun, I know you. 2 years ago, you encountered robbers on your way to Flowing Snake. You left your girlfriend with the robbers and ran away yourself. It's you, right?" Wang Qianjun heard this, and his face immediately changed. Who could know about this other than Xiaolei? Did she tell anyone? After hearing this, not only Wang Ying but Su Mei and other people looked at him in shock. When Emo said this, Wang Qianjun's face had changed, but he hadn't denied it, so people knew that it might be true. Some girls immediately started looking down on Wang Qianjun. They hadn't expected him to be such a pig. If that got spread, then no matter how tall, handsome, and rich he was, no girl would really want to be with him. They would at most go for his money. Bulsh *T, who are you? Wang Qianjun reacted. If Xiao Lei had told anyone, he wouldn't let her go. But when he realized that the Xiao family wasn't scared of the Wang family, he was unsatisfied. Emo sneered, "You ask me who I am? I'm someone who saw it with his own eyes." "Yo, you're the one who got out of the Audi." Wang Qianjun recognized Emo when he looked at him again. As soon as he said this, he realized that he was somehow admitting it. Emo smiled. "That's right, that was me. She was really unlucky to have met you." "Emo, you're right. It's indeed unlucky to know scum like him." A feminine voice sounded. "Xiaolei, what do you mean?" Wang Qianjun's face looked bad. He hadn't expected Xiaolei to have come to. "Scum, you have no right to ask what I mean. I really don't want to talk to someone like you. I was really blind in the past." Xiaolei glared at Wang Qianjun and came up to Emo. "You have guts." Wang Qianjun looked coldly at Emo and said. Emo sat down and didn't get up. He put down his glass of wine and said, "Piss off." If he didn't have to check up on the man who didn't come out, Emo would have kicked him already, but that would cause too much commotion. "You." Wang Qianjun wanted to rage, but before he could, someone already pulled him aside and took his spot. The person who pulled Wang Qianjun away didn't even look at him, and instead said joyfully to Emo, "Haha, young Master Mo, I didn't think I would see you at my welcome evening. I'm so lucky." It was Wang Su. Emo had met him at Su Jingwen's birthday party. Emo got up and shook hands with him. "I just happened to see Wang Ying and decided to come over. Long time no see." "Yes, long time no see." "Oh, Journalist Xiao is here too. Hello. Wang Su looked at Xiao Lei. In this moment, Xiao Lei saw Luo Ying and asked Yimo, Yimo, this is? Oh, this is Luo Ying, my wife. Yimo held Luo Ying's hand and replied, Yimo, you're married? Wang Ying and Xiao Lei asked at the same time. Wang Ying had thought Luo Ying was Yimo's girlfriend. Xiao Lei was even more shocked. She had always thought that it would be Ning Qingxue who would marry Yimo, but it was this girl. Xiao Lei really wanted to ask what Ning Qingxue was going to do. Although she wanted to ask really badly, she knew now wasn't the right time. Congratulations. I didn't think young Master Amo was married, Wang Su said in admiration. Wang Su, today's the day you start working in Beijing. You're the next family leader that Grandpa chose. You don't need to waste your time with irrelevant people, Wang Qianjun said. Wang Su seemed to have just noticed Wang Qianjun's presence. He just said coldly, piss off. You dash, Wang Qianjun's expression changed. He didn't expect his cousin to be that rude. He was a direct cousin of the family lineage. How dare he insult him like this in front of a stranger? He looked hatefully at Yimo and left. Su Mei was astonished. She really didn't understand how an abandoned son had managed to become close with Wang Su. Yimo looked at Wang Qianjun and sneered. He didn't say anything. If Wang Qianjun came looking for trouble, it would be like looking to be crushed. Wang Su ignored Wang Qianjun and said to Yimo and the others, Have a seat. I need to greet some more guests. Yimo nodded. Then he saw another 2 people go into that room. From their faces, he could tell that they already knew he and Luo Ying were there. Since they had come, it meant that they also knew Wang Su. Luo Ying, you're really pretty. Did you just marry Yimo? Xiao Lei felt that she was simple compared to Luo Ying's beauty and felt a little sour. Luo Ying smiled. That gesture was like 100 flowers blooming. Even Xiao Lei lost her mind for a second. Yes, Yimo said that when we go back we'll have a big wedding. Chapter 644. Luo Ying's Anger. Chapter 644. Luo Ying's anger together with the 2 men who entered the room. Another man and woman also went inside. Including the first guy, there were 5 people in the room now. He actually knew the woman who just went in. She was Sisterling, the one he had taken the extreme energy stone from. Yimo had found out later on from Luna that she was her sister, Lu Lin. Theoretically, she should have been punished by Northern Sand, so why was she still there? Moreover, the rest of the people seemed to be getting along well. The moment he saw Lu Lin, Yimo knew why Luna and her boyfriend had left Luoyu. It was due to her sister. Yimo felt something wasn't right. These people were undoubtedly from Northern Sand, but was Northern Sand really that easy to talk to? The extreme energy stone was too important, and Lu Lin had lost it. How could she still be fine? But no matter what, since he had seen Lu Lin there, then Luna might also come there. He just had to keep an eye on these people. He must not allow Luna to spill Luoyu's security details, even though she didn't know much. Thinking about this, Yimo suddenly got up and said to Luo Ying, Wait here for me. I have some business to take care of. I'll be back soon. Luo Ying nodded. Go, I will wait here for you. She of course knew what Yimo was doing. She was very confident in his power. Yimo said goodbye to Wang Ying and Xiao Lei before leaving. He wanted to get inside to spy on them, but for that he had to go out first. He was sure that the Northern Sand people were watching him too, so he had to go out first and turn invisible before coming back inside. What is Yimo doing? Xiao Lei asked. Luo Ying smiled but didn't reply. She wasn't good at lying, so she didn't say anything. By the way, Luo Ying, where are you guys planning to celebrate your wedding? Do you already have a date? Xiao Lei asked again. Luo Ying shook her head. I don't know yet, whenever Yimo decides. Hearing this, the other girls glanced at each other. They admired Luo Ying's beauty, but she was submissive in their eyes. Yimo was really capable. Where had he found a girl like this? Nowadays, both parties negotiated on the wedding date. Su-mei felt even more unsatisfied. She didn't know why, but the better Yi-mo was, the more she was uncomfortable. Just when they were all chatting comfortably, she suddenly intervened. Luoying, do you know about Yi-mo's past? Luoying smiled. Wang Ying already told me. I already know everything. No, I'm not talking about that. A test at the hospital showed that Yi-mo was impotent. Su-mei wanted Luoying to leave him, so she had to do this while Yi-mo wasn't there. Wang Ying's expression changed drastically. Su-mei, why are you talking about this? Yi-mo is also our classmate. Xiao Lei had investigated Yi-mo before, so she also got to hear about this. However, she cared more about a person's character, not about his physical conditions. She also looked at Su-mei in confusion. Did she hate Yi-mo or something? Luoying wasn't dumb. When she first saw Yi-mo and Su-mei together, she felt tension between the two of them. But Yi-mo didn't mention anything, and she stayed polite. But now Su-mei was talking behind Yi-mo's back, which made her very angry. She knew better than anyone else whether Yi-mo was impotent or not. She couldn't even take his fervor sometimes. Yet Su-mei dared to say something like that about her husband. This made her angry immediately. At the same time, she felt Su-mei was really shameless. If Yi-mo hadn't told her to wait there, she would have left already. She looked coldly at Su-mei. You don't need to worry about my husband, that's my business. Also, I don't want to sit next to someone like you. Please move aside. Su-mei's expression changed. She hadn't thought someone as gentle as Luoying had this side. Su-mei couldn't stay there anymore. She got up and pulled Wang Ying. I'm leaving, are you coming? Then, she left without waiting for a reply. Wang Ying said helplessly to Luoying, I'll go check on her. Although she didn't like the way Su-mei was talking, she was her still good friend, and she couldn't just let her leave like that. When Wang Ying caught up with Su-mei, she said unhappily, Luoying is like a goddess. Why did you say that? You went overboard. Su-mei sneered. I'm doing this for her benefit. It'd be such a waste if someone like her got tricked by Yi-mo, but now it seems like she deserves it. What's wrong with Yi-mo? I feel he's really nice. I really don't understand why you hate him. Also, he's not that anymore. Wang Ying was angry. He's not. How do you know? Have you been to bed with him? Su-mei was getting fired up too. Hearing Su-mei's words made Wang Ying unhappy. Don't say that, but Yi-mo is fine. His sister told me. So, it's not like that, and I think you need to calm down. Su-mei sneered. Yi-ling is Yi-mo's sister. How would she know? Who are you lying to? Wang Ying was angry now too. She sneered. Yi-ling's dorm mate, Tianhe, told Yi-ling, can that be fake? Su-mei suddenly took out her phone, looked at Wang Ying and said, Wang Ying, I know you're trying to speak up for Yi-mo, but I happen to know Tianhe. She's in the same company as me. I'll call her right now, so you can hear for yourself. Wang Ying was dumbfounded. She didn't understand why she was so serious about such a small matter. Su-mei's call went through quickly. Tianhe, it's me, Su-mei. No, I just need to ask you a quick question about that guy Yi-mo. Yes, her brother. I heard that after a hospital checkup he was found to be… You've heard about it too. Su-mei looked satisfied at Wang Ying and continued, Yes, I heard other people say the checkup was fake. What? Is it really fake? How do you know? What did that pervert do to you? I know. Don't say that. How could I go to bed with him? I'm just asking. Big, I don't like big. Wang Ying looked at Su-mei, who looked like a defeated rooster, and said, Su-mei, you're not from a small family. Don't you know about family wars? Yi-mo was a sacrifice in one of those fights. Of course the checkup is fake. Look at how happy his girlfriend Luoying is. Stop trying to change the facts. It's real. Let's go and apologize. I won't go apologize. Even if Yi-mo is fine. He doesn't even have a stable job. He doesn't deserve to be with a girl like her. It's like a flower planted on cow dung. Yet that woman deserves it, Su Mei said in contempt. Wang Ying shook her head and walked towards Luo Ying. Yi Mo entered the room invisible and started to eavesdrop. Their conversation was very succinct. They were indeed Northern Sand members, and the person who had pretended to be him was called Captain Lu. Regarding the man and woman who had come in last, Lu Lin was the woman and the man was called Scorpion. The moment Yi Mo saw him, he knew that it was the guy that had been watching him at the airport. He only had Luo Ying in his eyes at the time and had ignored him. Yi Mo and Luo Ying are here, is that intentional? Captain Lu asked. Scorpion shook his head, probably not. They coincidentally met Wang Ying and Su Mei at the door, and they brought them inside. It seems like he knows Wang Su, and they're quite so dash. Young Master Young, don't be impulsive. Captain Lu stopped the white-skinned young man. That bastard broke my brother's legs. Our Dai family's enmity with him is deep like the sea. The white man roared. Chapter 645. Yi Mo, who are you? Chapter 645. Yi Mo, who are you? Yi Mo just realized that this young Master Young was Dai Heng's brother, other than that Captain Lu who was at the yellow level middle stage, and the man who didn't talk who was at the yellow level ladder stage. The other three were ordinary people. Captain Lu waved his hand and seemed to have gotten some news. A moment later he said, Yi Mo just left. Only Luo Ying is still inside. Lu Na and Liang Jun will come to Beijing tonight, and we have arranged to meet at 2 a.m. outside the Yan Shui River, but Lu Lin must go. Hearing this, Dai Yong got up suddenly. Captain Lu? Since Luo Ying is alone, we dash. He was stopped by Captain Lu. I know you want that Luo Ying, but you can't now. Every day Yi Mo is alive is a day you can't touch her, even if we capture her. Moreover, this is the Wang family's turf, and Wang Su is close to Yi Mo. We can't do anything here, even if the opportunity is right. Who knows if Yi Mo comes back suddenly? To be honest, we're not even big enough for him to care about killing us. Yi Mo sneered. This handful of people was indeed not enough for him to kill. He could deal with them with just a couple of fireballs. Yi Mo didn't want to keep listening any more now that he knew where they would be meeting up. He would go to the river at night. Just when Yi Mo wanted to leave, his spirit sense noticed that a waitress who was wiping a table had been wiping that table for a long time. Yi Mo looked a bit closer, and she was very emaciated, and her face was covered in scars. Yi Mo looked at her body, and her chest and back were also covered in scars. Although her eyes looked really calm, Yi Mo could feel the hatred in her eyes. Yi Mo felt strange. The woman gave him a sense of familiarity, but he couldn't remember who she was. Soon, Yi Mo saw a small black dot in her ears. It was a listening device. Yi Mo immediately thought to check the room those 5 people had been in and searched it with his spirit sense. Under one of the chairs, he found a listening device indeed. So she was listening to those Northern Sand guys too. It was fine as long as she didn't get in his way. Yi Mo didn't keep looking at her and left. When Yi Mo walked to the door, he saw a few people sitting around the same table as Luo Ying. Su Mei was also there, but Luo Ying's brow was frowned. The truth was that if Yi Mo hadn't told her to wait there, she would have left already. Yi Mo knew all those people. Other than Qiu Jitan and Han Dan, there was also Qiu Jishue, whom he almost gave a beating once. Yi Mo had heard that Qiu Jishue was the best in the young generation of the Qiu family, and the guy did have some brains as he didn't attack Yi Mo straight away back then at Wudong restaurant, so he managed to avoid Yi Mo's wrath. Yi Mo walked up to Luo Ying and said, I'm back. Seeing this, Luo Ying got up and held Yi Mo's arm. She really detested the people around her. Su Mei sneered. The people who were there that day were all very powerful. They were people even Wang Su couldn't be rude to. As for Qiu Jishue, even Wang Su's dad had to be careful in front of him. Just when Qiu Zhirong and Han Dan were prepared to chat to Luo Ying, they saw Yi Mo and their hearts immediately skipped a beat. When they saw Luo Ying hold Yi Mo's arm, Their faces went pale. Han Dan was regretting so much that he wanted to disappear. If he knew Yemo was there, he wouldn't so much as show his face if he would even come at all. Yet now not only did he appear in front of him, he was also standing in front of his woman. Brother Yi. Han Dan looked down and greeted carefully. Young Master Mo Chiu Zhirong didn't have his previous alpha male vibe anymore either. Young Master Mo, I didn't think you would be coming here. It's really an honor. Chiu Zhishue saw Yi Mo, and his face immediately changed, but his composure was good, and he quickly reacted and extended his hand towards Yi Mo. Yi Mo sneered and ignored him. Then he scanned them and said, "What do you want to say here?" Nothing. We were just passing by and wanted to say hi to journalist Xiao." Chiu Zhirong quickly explained. "In that case, P** us off already," Yi Mo said coldly. "Yes, I will P** us off immediately." Chiu Zhirong was scared that his legs would also be broken, although Chiu Zhirong didn't dare say anything. Chiu Zhishue's face was green. He didn't think Yi Mo would be that cocky. He clenched his fingernails into his palm, and blood even started dripping out a bit, but he didn't dare say no. If he did or resisted in any way, Yi Mo might even kill him. Yi Mo was a madman that no one could control. Han Dan, is there any good in hanging out with this scum every day? Don't lose face for Han Zaishin. P** us off too. Yi Mo felt annoyed thinking that Han Zaishin was trying to fight the Northern Sand people while his descendant was hanging out close to them. "Yes, Brother Yi, I will leave immediately." Han Dan quickly left. Chiu Zhishue also wanted to leave, but he was stopped by Yi Mo. "You wait, I still have something to ask you." Although Chiu Zhishue wanted to shoot Yi Mo and eat his flesh on the spot, he had to stop and listen to Yi Mo. Su Mei was astonished. These people who were too powerful for her to even talk to were acting like rats in front of a cat. Even Chiu Zhishue was like this. She didn't want to believe it, but that was the reality. How could Yi Mo do all that? Su Mei wanted to scream, "Yi Mo, who are you?" Wasn't he the abandoned son of the Yi family? "Young Master Mo, I heard you're in Beijing, so I came to greet you." "Haha, you're here indeed." A man with a loud voice ran over. Su Mei didn't know this person, but from how everyone greeted him when he walked over, she knew that he was even more powerful than Chiu Zhishue. Chiu Zhishue also greeted. "Chief Du, I didn't think you'd be here too." "Oh, Zhishue, you're here too." "Haha, I came to see instructor." The middle-aged man changed the title he used for Yi Mo. "Yes, young master, Mo was going to ask me something. So here I am," Chiu Zhishue said. Yi Mo smiled. "Captain Du, you got news from Elder Han, right? Also, don't call me instructor, that sounds too distant." Yi Mo did indeed know Du Tao very well. He was Flying Snow's instructor and also the vice chief commander of Beijing. Chapter 646, Yen Riverbank. Chapter 646. Yen Riverbank, seeing that Yi Mo was just talking to Du Tao and hadn't even looked at him. Chiu Zhishue decided to keep enduring it and asked, "Young Master Mo, do you need me for anything? If not, I dash." Even Du Tao stopped at this point. Although his status made Chiu Zhishue respect him, it really was nothing compared to the Chiu family, so he couldn't just ignore Chiu Zhishue. Yi Mo glanced at Chiu Zhishue and said, "I heard Li Chuang was targeted by the Chiu and Dai family? He even has to go to jail, right?" Chiu Zhishue heard this, and he was mind-blown. If Yi Mo was going to intervene in that, then their two families wouldn't have a certain victory anymore. Yi Mo was an unreasonable madman who even the president, the Han family, as well as the fading-out Zhang family were helping. But now that Yi Mo had asked, he couldn't just not answer. He quickly said, "There's no such thing. I'm very close to Brother Chiang. He's just assisting with the investigation a bit. He'll be fine in no time." Yi Mo didn't want to intervene in these fights, so he said plainly, "Li Chuang has helped me quite a lot. I'm not interested in your business, but I don't want anything to happen to him." Take my word, my patience is limited. If I don't hear news from him quickly, I will go visit your family. Threats. His words were purely threats. Yi Emo didn't even want to know what was going on. Yet he asked for them to let go of Li Chuyang. Li Chuyang was an elite of the Li family and had a similar status to his. If they had to let go Li Chuyang, it would be like a slap in the face. Luckily, Yi Emo said that he wasn't interested in their fights. Although Qiu Zhixue really wanted to tell Yi Emo that he wasn't even in charge of it and to just please mind his own business, he didn't dare to. Yes, I will let them know. Qiu Zhixue suppressed his anger. He really wondered if the Dai and Qiu family together could take on Yi Emo or not. Because this involved family battles between the Dai and Qiu family, Du Tao didn't intervene. He knew that only Yi Emo would dare talk about it. Other people didn't even dare mention it. After being told off by Yi Emo, Qiu Zhixue no longer had the face to stay there. He didn't even say goodbye to Wang Su and just left. Xiao Lei looked at Yi Emo speechless. The gathering had just started, and Yi Emo had already kicked for people away. Yi Emo smiled and greeted the people he knew before leaving with Luo Ying. When she saw Yi Emo and Luo Ying leave, Sumei came back to her senses. She hesitated before looking at Xiao Lei and asking, "Journalist Xiao, how is it that Yi Emo is this so dash?" Xiao Lei suddenly got bored after Yi Emo left. She got up too and just smiled at Sumei, but she didn't answer. She didn't want to talk to Sumei much because of her attitude to Yi Emo. "Susu, after I'm done taking care of some things here, we will go back and live together in Luoyu. One day, we will just stay in Luoyu and there will be no need to run around," Yi Emo said with guilt to Luo Ying. He knew that Luo Ying wished to have a peaceful life, yet he was taking her everywhere and made her worry. Luo Ying smiled and didn't say anything. She just moved closer to Yi Emo. After a long while, she said, "Tell me about her. Is it Qingxue or that girl?" Yi Emo was dazed and subconsciously asked, "Who is that girl?" "Then is it Qingxue?" Luo Ying fell silent. Although she didn't have any blood relations with Qingxue, she was still her aunt. She had only scanned Qingxue when she saw her, and she didn't look at her carefully. She just knew Qingxue was a pretty girl. "Sorry, Susu, I dash." Yi Emo really didn't know how to explain this to her. He understood what she meant by that girl. She was probably talking about Qi Wanqing. Seeing Yi Emo's guilty expression, Luo Ying smiled and grabbed his hand. "Don't apologize. I don't mind as long as I can be with you. I think that if Qingxue loves you, she won't mind either." Yi Emo embraced Luo Ying and felt excited. He knew that Luo Ying wouldn't object to it. It was easier for Luo Ying to accept it as she still had memories of Luo Ying continent. "Susu, I'll tell you about Qingxue." And Yi Emo told Luo Ying the story as they walked slowly by the Yan River bank. After telling Luo Ying everything that had happened, her eyes were red. She had completely accepted Ning Qingxue in her heart. She hadn't expected Ning Qingxue to be such a strong-willed girl, and that in order to wait for her, they still hadn't gotten married yet. If it wasn't for her, perhaps Yi Emo would have died at Shennongjia. Yi Emo saw Luo Ying's worry and held her a little tighter. The couple just stopped by the riverbank. After a while, an animal howled and startled them. Luo Ying caressed Yi Emo's hair and asked softly, "Should we go back now?" Yi Emo smiled and said, "Wait, something will happen tonight. Things might get bloody. How about I take you to the hotel and come pick you up after I'm done?" Luo Ying shook her head. "No, I will go with you." "Okay, we'll do that then." Yi Emo didn't try to persuade her. Regardless of whether she would get her memories back, there were some things people had to face living in this world. "Susu, did you have a look at the diary I gave you last time?" That book was the most important thing that could help her awaken her memories. Luo Ying said quietly, "Not yet. I'm still learning the Luoyu words you taught me. I want to read it after I learn them." "Okay, remember to tell me once you're done," Yi Emo said with a dirty smile. Luo Ying blushed. Although she really wanted to read it, she didn't want the mood to be ruined by her bad comprehension. Realizing this, she was just about to kiss Emo when he said, "They're here. Let's watch them from the side." As soon as Luoying and Emo moved to the side, for people gathered there, only Daiyong wasn't there. They all had a gun, and that Captain Lu even had two. What made Emo realize something was off was that Lu Lin was tied up and there was even some cloth stuffed in her mouth. Emo had seen them on good terms before. Why were they tying Lu Lin up now? He was sure that Lu Lin wasn't putting on a show. Emo spread out his spirit sense and was soon dazed. He saw that the woman with the scarred face was also coming. She was holding a few throwing knives in her hands while hiding. Chapter 647, Real and Fake. Chapter 647, Real and Fake. Other than the woman hiding in a ditch, there were two more people hiding near the banks, and Emo could tell they were from Northern Sand. The other, for didn't wait for long before a subtle humming engine sounded from somewhere down the river. The sound was barely even noticeable. Hearing it, the four immediately spread out as they watched the river carefully. It was a small private yacht. As the yacht neared the bank, Emo soon noticed that it was Lu Na and Liang Jun inside. Lu Na carried a case out, but Liang Jun didn't leave the yacht and stayed on the ship. "Lu Na, you're trustworthy indeed, but we didn't lie to you either. Your sister is here," Captain Lu said casually as he saw Lu Na get on shore. Lu Na didn't reply, because even though she saw Lu Lin was tied up with a piece of cloth in her mouth. "Sister." Lu Na felt relieved nonetheless. Lu Lin struggled and made some sound, but it was useless. "I've brought your sister here, and we didn't do anything to her. Where is the thing? We will trade at the same time. Of course, if you're willing to come back to Northern Sand, we welcome you girls." Captain Lu laughed as he grabbed Lu Lin's chest. Lu Lin immediately looked at Captain Lu in anger and whimpered. Lu Na sneered, "You're that Captain Lu, right? Don't touch my sister. I brought the thing, but if you dare play any tricks, I can always make the thing in my hand explode." "Very well, we just want the Chang 265 data and the Luoyu interference machine. You give me those, and I'll let you take your sister away immediately," Captain Lu said casually. Lu Na immediately sneered. "Captain Lu, who do you think I am? I just joined Luoyu, and to be honest, if it wasn't for City Lord Su being really nice to us, we wouldn't even have had a chance to leave the city. How can I get information on the interference machine? You overestimate me. I'm telling you now, I only have info on Chang 265. I have the complete data, because my teacher discovered it." Emo suddenly told Luoying to wait and then went towards the yacht. This Captain Lu was evil indeed. While he was negotiating with Lu Na, the two people hidden by the river had left, and they seemed to be going for Liang Jun. Captain Lu suddenly ripped the clothes from Lu Lin's mouth. "Your sister isn't cooperating, so I have no other way." "Don't!" Lu Lin dodged Captain Lu's hand and called out to her sister, "Nana, who told you to come?" "I told you I was fine." "I didn't tell you to come," Lu Lin shouted worriedly. "Sister, all is good as long as you're fine. Even if I have to risk my life, I will take you back. Before Dad left, he said we should rely on each other for survival. I can't leave you behind." Lu Na replied with red eyes. Then Lu Na said to Captain Lu, "Let my sister go, and I'll give the thing to you immediately." Captain Lu said to Lu Lin, "Persuade your sister. If she doesn't give us the Luoyu interference machine, then don't blame me for killing her too. Nana, if you brought it, then give it to him," Lu Lin said while signaling Lu Na with her eyes. Lu Na didn't know what Lu Lin meant, and just when she was thinking about it, Lu Lin suddenly broke free from Captain Lu and charged towards Lu Na. Captain Lu and company were caught off guard and forgot to do anything, while Lu Na reacted immediately and ran to Lu Lin. Emo sneered. He was sure that Lu Lin had betrayed Lu Na. Otherwise, there was no way that Captain Lu wouldn't react. But before knowing the exact situation, Yi Mo didn't move. He really wanted to know how much intel Lu Na had brought out. If Luo Yu's important intel was that easily taken out, then that would mean they had a huge security risk. However, what everyone didn't expect was that when Lu Lin was still 2 meters from Lu Na, a flying dagger shot out from a nearby ditch into Lu Lin's throat. Lu Lin stopped in her tracks, and she subconsciously held her throat. She gurgled before falling to the ground. Sister, Lu Na was dumbfounded by the scene and cried out, Nana, I'm right here, I'm not dead. I am your sister, Lu Lin. That woman is a fake. A woman in black clothes came out with her eyes staring closely at Captain Lu and company. Her voice was very coarse. Yi Mo realized only then that this woman, who had her face ruined, was Lu Lin. No wonder she had shown such strong hate. Thinking about how that extremely busted woman became a bony woman with a destroyed face, Yi Mo felt a little sad. He knew that it was related to him. If it wasn't for him, Lu Lin wouldn't be in her current state. Sister? Lu Na looked at that extremely thin person and couldn't connect it to her sister. She was sure that Lu Lin never wore any disguises. So why did this woman say she was her sister? But she could feel the concern this black-clothed woman had for her. She underwent plastic surgery? Lu Lin wondered. Hearing this, Yi Mo realized it was no wonder he couldn't tell anything before. That day when you saw Mother, don't tell anyone, only we can know. The black-clothed woman spoke while keeping her eyes on Captain Lu. Sister, Lu Na finally realized that this disfigured person was her sister. She hugged her sister's back and cried. The moment Lu Na hugged her, Lu Lin knew it wasn't good. Captain Lu and company pulled out their guns and fired shots. Captain Lu sneered, Lu Lin, even if you ran away, you still have to pay the price today. Lu Lin immediately realized that she had been too excited. How could she hug her sister at this time? She would stop her sister from pulling out the knives. But there was no medicine for regret in this world, and gunshots sounded loud and clear. She could even feel a bullet was flying towards them. She laughed in despair. So what if we die? It's worth it to die with sister. However, even after many shots, Lu Lin and Lu Na were shocked to discover that they hadn't been shot and were still standing. Not far in front of them, a figure stood there. Although it was night, Lu Na still recognized that it was Yi Mo. He had blocked all the bullets and saved them. Yi Mo looked at the bullets and smiled to Captain Lu. You're from Northern San, right? It's you? Yi Mo, we didn't mess with you. So why are you fighting us again? We've already agreed to your conditions in Jiutang, haven't we? Captain Lu saw Yi Mo, and his heart sunk to the bottom. Yi Mo suddenly flicked out 2 bullets, and they pierced the heads of Scorpion and the yellow-level tertiary stage man. Seeing this, Captain Lu's heart went cold. Yi Mo was indeed a slaughter god. Didn't mess with me? Yi Mo sneered and continued. Who tricked Luoying to come to Beijing? Furthermore, Lu Na is a member of Luoyu, and who tricked her here? Captain Lu opened his mouth, but couldn't explain anything. He subconsciously looked at the river. Yi Mo sneered. No need to look for them. They were freed from this world a step earlier than you. Chapter 648. Qingshue's Anxiety. Chapter 648. Qingshue's anxiety. Captain Lu knew he was over. When he was about to commit suicide, his face was kicked and the poison fell out together with his tooth. Before he fainted, he heard Yi Mo say, Don't always pull that move. I really want to know what's the difference between you guys and the Black Sun Empire. Luoying came over to Yi Mo's side. When Lu Na saw Yi Mo, her heart also sunk. She knew her actions meant that she betrayed Luoyu, but she soon remembered her sister and glanced at her again. When she saw the scars and how her face didn't have a single part of healthy skin, she couldn't help to cry. At this moment, Liang Jun got off the yacht and came to Yi Mo. He knew Yi Mo, but he could only bow and then stand on the side. After a long while, Lu Lin moved Lu Na to the side and bowed to Yemo. Yemo, I've heard great things of you. Thanks for saving me and my sister. Lu Na stood behind her sister without saying anything. Yemo thought it was strange her behavior. No matter what Lu Na had done was betraying Luo Yu. Why didn't she seem truly guilty? Yemo scanned the case and found that other than a bomb, there was only a stack of strange, useless papers. So it was all fake. She had wanted to just take her sister and run without giving away Luo Yu's secrets. But she had underestimated North Sand too much. Even if she had brought the real things, she wouldn't have been able to get away if she hadn't encountered him. Sorry. Lu Lin knew that Yemo was a part of Luo Yu, but she didn't know which position he was at. Yemo smiled. Lu Na is one of Luo Yu's scientists. I trusted that she wouldn't actually bring our data. Although Yemo knew that Sui Wehua wouldn't let people access Luo Yu's secrets easily, Lu Na hadn't even brought the Chang 265. He was very grateful for that. Hearing this, Lu Na's eyes turned red. She had never really planned on taking the intel with her. Yemo had saved her life, and Sui Wehua treated her like a sister. How could she betray Luo Yu? Furthermore, she knew what spilling Luo Yu's secrets meant. It would mean hundreds of thousands of lives. How could she do that? She had thought Yemo would get angry. Yet, he forgave her without asking anything. Lu Na didn't explain either. All was good as long as Yemo trusted her. She turned around and hugged Lu Lin. Sister, why are you so skinny? How did these animals torture you? They truly are beasts. Lu Lin smiled bitterly. I'm just very happy that I get to see you. The physical pain doesn't mean much to me. Yemo coughed and said, This also concerns me. If it hadn't been for me, perhaps Lu Lin wouldn't have been tortured. Lu Lin heard this and shook her head. We were on different sides at the time. It has nothing to do with you. Yemo didn't explain why it was related to him. He just took out a face-preserving pill and said, This is a face-preserving pill. It can heal your face and lets you stay young forever. Take it as compensation. Huh. Lu Lin hadn't expected that she could one day have such a powerful pill. She was dumbfounded. She had heard of it, of course, but there were very few of them in the world. It was said that the Princess of Northern Sand had gotten one, but Northern Sand had to spend many hundred millions to get it. Brother Yi, thank you, Lu Na thanked him. Then she hurried her sister to go inside the yacht and take it. Seeing that Yemo wasn't going to punish them, Liang Jun finally could rest assured. He liked Luo Yu, but Lu Na had to save her sister, so he could only come with her. After Lu Lin left, Lu Na noticed Luo Ying's presence, which confused her. She knew that Ning Qingxue was Yemo's wife. How was he with another woman now? Had he dumped Sister Qingxue? However, she kept these thoughts for herself. She couldn't ask about it. Half an hour later, Lu Lin took out a mirror and saw her recovered face. She immediately started crying out of happiness. Who would want to have their face destroyed? She was only a little skinnier, but she had much better temperament than before. Sister, are you okay now? Lu Na charged inside and hugged Lu Lin again. Her sister was the only relative she had in this world. Where do we go now? Lu Lin asked. Sister, come with Liang Jun and me to Luo Yu. It's really pretty and welcoming. Lu Na immediately thought of Luo Yu. They really didn't have anywhere else to go except there. Lu Lin looked hopeful. But will Yemo agree? In that moment, Yemo walked inside with Luo Ying and smiled. Of course, you can get a plane to Luo Yu tomorrow. He had interrogated Captain Lu and the reason why they had gone after Lu Na. They had managed to contact Lu Na from her private social media account. This made Yemo feel that they should tighten Luo Yu's network security, but Yixing really couldn't do everything by himself. Yet Captain Lu was just a pawn, and he only knew that the Dai family had joined Northern Sand. That night, Yemo went back to Ninghai and took his sister Tang Beiwei to Beijing, where he was going to leave her. Luo Yu was about to go to war, and he didn't want Tang Beiwei to be by herself in Ninghai. The next morning, Yi Mo went to visit Elder Han and scan the rare ore storage. He found another small piece of gunmetal essence and blue silver sand. He then took Luo Ing, Beiwei, Liang Jun, and the Lu sisters to Qinghong Airport. As soon as they arrived to the airport, they encountered Li Chuyang. He had lost a lot of weight. He thanked Yi Mo for saving his life. Li Chuyang knew that other than Yi Mo, no one could help him. They weren't that close, yet Yi Mo had really helped him. The Dai and Chiu family indeed didn't dare go against Yi Mo. They knew that even Northern Sand feared him, and that he had certain status in Luo Yu. Moreover, Yi Mo had just said to let Li Chuyang go, so they didn't dare not to listen. Yi Mo rejected Li Chuyang's invitation because he realized it was his grandfather who was really inviting him. Li Chuyang sighed. He knew that the reason Yi Mo had saved him was because he had helped him a few times. It was impossible, at least for now, to ask Yi Mo to help the Li family. There were still a few hours before the plane arrived to Luo Yu Airport, but Ning Qingxua had gone very early. She was anxious. She was going to see Luo Ying today, and she hadn't thought of what to say to her aunt yet. Chapter 649. Together. Chapter 649. Together immediately after Yi Mo left Beijing. Everyone in Beijing got word of what had happened. That mattered especially to the Dai and Chiu family, because if Yi Mo left then, that meant that he was keeping his word and wouldn't be intervening in the Beijing matters. The Li family leader also sighed. Although he knew all along that Yi Mo wouldn't come, he was still very disappointed. If Yi Mo could so much as just have a chat at their house, it would be an immeasurable help even if he did nothing. But after sighing, the Li family leader also rejoiced. It would make the Dai and Chiu family at least have some concerns that Yi Mo had saved Li Chuyang. Regardless, from how Yi Mo was able to order a plane to leave from Beijing to Luo Yu whenever he wished, one could guess that his status wouldn't be low in Luo Yu. After all, Luo Yu had been restricting flights ever since the vandalism at their international stores. At the same moment, the Yi family was holding a very important meeting. After a few changes, the family leader position had come back to Yi Beirong. Although he really wanted to give it away already, Yi Zifeng, whom he had chosen, had already gone to Luo Yu. To be honest, Yi Beirong didn't feel too well about Yi Mo having come to Beijing without visiting the Yi family. He knew that the Yi family owed the three siblings quite a bit. Yi Wenkei was Yi Beiguang's son. Because Yi Wenqi and Yi Wenjin left Beijing and died, he was the most important figure in the second generation. Thinking similarly, he asked in confusion, "Uncle, Yi Mo is also a part of the Yi family, and the reason why our family is still in Beijing is greatly due to him. I'm sure that he's the reason why they didn't touch the Yi family. And now it is clear that Yi Mo has enmity with the Chiu and Dai family, and he even beats them without concern. Why then are we still joining them to take on the Li family?" Other people also looked at Yi Beirong after this question was asked. Yi Beirong sighed. If Yi Wentian was alive, he would be able to see what his intention was. It seemed the Yi family was really falling. He still had to answer though, so Yi Beirong said, "So you know that the reason why no one dared challenge the Yi family is due to Yi Mo. Hence, without Yi Mo, although we won't be completely taken, we will no longer be able to be a part of the 5 big families. I don't think I have to tell you that other people can find out about the problems between us and Yi Mo, and we're just supporting the 2 families but not really doing anything. They know that too, but even if they know what our intentions are, they can't come and attack an ally. So we can only earn the greatest benefit if we support the 2 families. But if we support the 2 families, then won't we be fighting the Li family? Yi Mo can't be really happy about that, right?" Yi Wenkei asked. Yi Beirong shook his head. "You still haven't seen the essence of the matter. The Li family won't fight the Yi family. We aren't taking any real action against them, and even if we did, they wouldn't fight us. They wouldn't want to leave a bad impression on Yemo. As for Yemo, he doesn't care about these sort of things at all. And even if he did, no matter what he thought of it, he wouldn't do anything to the Yi family. Yi Long finally understood what the family leader meant. The Li family would indeed not use their main force against the Yi family, no matter which side the Yi family stood on. They might perhaps even help the Yi family in some ways, so it could be said that this was the best decision. Knowing what Yi Long thought, Yi Beirong said, "I was very worried before when Luoyu was developing in Flowing Snake, but now that they moved to Luoyu and invented the most advanced defense system in the world, I can rest assured. Yi Mo is a prodigy, and everyone in the Yi family, including myself, missed that. It is also normal that Yi Zifeng didn't stay in Beijing as the family leader. It's only right that he and Yi Ling went to help their brother." Yi Beirong paused. Although he also really wanted to go to Luoyu, he couldn't throw away his face, and his identity didn't allow him to do that. That's why he tried to protect the Yi family. When worst came to worst, they could become a commercial family like the Zhou family. The first person Yi Mo and Luoying saw when they got off the plane was Ning Qingxue. She seemed lonely standing there. Beside her was Silver, and it flew to Yi Mo as soon as it saw him. The first feeling Ning Qingxue had when she saw Yi Mo and Luoying standing next to each other was that she was an extra. She was sour and wanted to run into Yi Mo's arms, but she couldn't move her legs. Yi Mo could feel Ning Qingxue's anxiety, so he walked up to her and gently embraced her. As Ning Qingxue hugged Yi Mo tightly, her mind went blank. She had thought of many possible scenarios for when they saw each other again, but now she didn't know what to say. She remembered that Luoying was also there, and immediately got out of Yi Mo's arms to find Luoying smiling at her on the side. Ning Qingxue wiped her eyes and said worriedly to Luoying, "Auntie, Luoying had gotten a completely different view of Ning Qingxue after hearing about how she had risked her life to save Yi Mo. She walked up to Ning Qingxue naturally and held her hand. "Qingxue, are you still going to call me auntie? You should call me sister from now on." Ning Qingxue looked up in joy, and all the worry and anxiety she had been having for the past time was gone. Although Yi Mo had told her that Luoying would accept her, when this day actually came, she was still full of surprise and joy. "Sister Luoying dash." Ning Qingxue's tone was shaky. "Is it called Silver? It's so pretty." Luoying held Ning Qingxue's hand and looked at Silver while it was hugging Yi Mo, and it's called Silver. Yi Mo said it might be a blue phoenix, but its plumage hasn't changed color at all, Ning Qingxue said. Yi Mo held Silver and looked at the two girls next to each other, and his heart surged with an extreme sense of satisfaction. Tang Beiwei stood at the back and sighed out of relief. She had been worrying about how things would go when Luoying and Ning Qingxue met. She didn't want to see either of them hurt. Su Yuehua and company also breathed a sigh of relief. They had all come very early that day, but they knew that it was time for Yi Mo's two wives to meet each other, so they didn't dare interrupt and waited from afar. Chapter 650, Fighting to be Friends. Chapter 650, Fighting to be Friends. Tang Beiwei liked Luoying more, whereas Yi Ling preferred Ning Qingxue. Su Yuehua was very happy that Yi Mo had managed to bring both Lu Na and Liang Jun back. Although they hadn't taken a lot of intel, they had been living in the core sector of Luoyu, they had seen a lot of things. No matter how strong-willed a person is, it would be hard for them not to spill anything when being tortured. Yi Mo really wanted to have a private conversation with Luoying and Ning Qingxue, but he knew that Luoyu was still in trouble. If it was dealt with properly, Luoyu would keep soaring in the sky, but if not, they would lose everything. Hence, he gathered at the big meeting room with Su Ping, Su Yuehua, and the others immediately. Ning Qingxue and Luoying didn't participate in this meeting because they still had a lot of things to talk about. Furthermore, Ning Qingxue was only responsible for the financial sector. She didn't have to participate in these military meetings. Although Yi Mo frequently left Luoyu, he knew everything that had been going on. Yi Xing had planned everything. Yi Mo got very happy each time he came back. The basic outline of the city was already built, and the air was very fresh, no rotten ocean smell. If it hadn't been for the impending war, Yi Mo would have taken Luoying and Ning Qingxue around. All the high-level members of Luoyu were there. Yi Mo was very satisfied with Su Yuehua's efficiency. He felt that Su Yuehua had been no ordinary person before, and now that he gave her a chance, she performed extremely well. Although there were a lot of people helping her, her abilities were unquestionable. Yi Mo knew that she had an enemy that made her go to Hong Kong from time to time. She rarely had time to leave her position lately. If he had time, he would ask her who the enemy was. Regardless of who it was, since she was the city lord of Luoyu, it couldn't be ignored. Okay, since everyone is here, we'll let Sitter Yuehua start the meeting. Speak as you wish, Yi Mo said. Yi Mo knew that whether it was going to war or not, they had to decide today. It wasn't good to drag it on. Yi Mo said first, according to the message brought back by our negotiation squad, Indonesia has no intentions of apologizing. Philippines are on the same page as them too. They are even mass buying weapons. I think they are threatening us. They are small countries. How dare they threaten us? Just send a fleet to annihilate them, Su Ping said grumpily. Yi Mo knew that Su Ping was an ancient martial artist, and he wasn't good at commanding battles, but he had had to give him that position. Su Ping was his second brother. He would never betray him. As soon as Su Ping said this, Huang Yinian said, I support going to war, but our strategy shouldn't just be to send a fleet there. Su Yuehua said, when we first claimed our conditions, the Indonesian officials were very worried. They even said that they would agree if we lowered our demands. However, it's only been a day and their attitude has changed drastically. At the same time, Philippines also joined their side. If we don't react to the outlet incident quickly, perhaps more countries will join their side. So I agree we need to fight, but how we fight is the key issue. Yi Mo thought about their words. No one had said it, but he knew that there was someone supporting Indonesia from the shadows. Who was it? America? Or was it some other country? The Union stated that we and Indonesia should control our emotions and leave the problem up to negotiation. That we shouldn't start a war so easily, Yu Miaodong said. Funny. We shouldn't start a war so easily. They saying this to us? If we don't do anything, what if they attack us instead? I think that if we're going to fight, we should do Germany's way. Finish them with a lightning war, Guachi said. That works for other countries, but not Indonesia. They're an island country. We only have 20,000 troops. I think we should gather our power and throw a heavy blow to one target, Sherman said. Su Yuehua nodded, but she didn't say anything and just stared at Yi Xing. I actually agree with Brother Su and Sherman. Our newest interference machine is now ready for mobile warfare. It's attached to the Luo Tian carrier ship. If we needed to attack an island, we wouldn't even need to go covertly. We could just throw bombs at them. Yi Xing looked at Su Yuehua and smiled. When Yi Xing finished talking, the entire meeting room fell silent. After a while, Huang Yinian screamed, Chief Engineer Yi, did you succeed? When they recalled the last war, everyone's blood boiled. It was because they had the most advanced interference machine that they had managed to suppress the Allied army. Yet, most of our bombs are from Russia and Germany. We can build some defense missiles, but we can't mass-produce offensive missiles. We still need some time, and the time we have is very short, Yi Xing said again. Before anyone said anything, Yi Xing sneered. If I had some time, we wouldn't even need to send a fleet there to defeat them. I can make a bomb that they won't be able to defend themselves of. Yi Mo believed that Yi Xing could do it, but they had to fight that war. If Luoyu was harassed by Indonesia and Philippines, and they didn't fight back, they would lose the reputation they had built, and more countries would do the same. In another 2 years, when Luoyu stabilized, other countries wouldn't even be able to face Luoyu. He nodded. No one can treat Luo Yu like this. We must fight Indonesia and Philippines. As for how we fight, I trust that Yixing has other steadier ways. But we're trying to show our dominance this time, so we must do it in the most direct and domineering way. We'll let them know that they can't challenge Luo Yu so easily. Let those clowns who support them understand it too. As for how to fight, I agree with Sherman's method. There's only the Indian Ocean between us. We'll take one of their islands first. Then Yemo looked at everyone. Which island should we attack first? Huang Inian smiled. If it's taking over a place, it'll be quite easy. Bali Island is perfect. It's not small, and it's Indonesia's main tourist attraction. It brings Indonesia large amounts of income each year. If we take that place, the Indonesian officials will have to comply. Everyone agreed to this. Chapter 651. Declaration of War means start of war. Chapter 651. Declaration of War means start of war. Okay, in that case, Huang Inian will be the commander for this war. We don't need to wait. Send our ships there immediately. Wait around Bali for the declaration of war. And as soon as we declare war, attack their military facilities, Yemo ordered. Su Iwehua added, I agree to the president's decision, but Bali is a global tourist attraction. There are people there on holiday from all over the world. When we start attacking the island, we can't casually deploy missiles, or that would cause international problems. So I'd like to know what Commander Huang has to say. Huang Inian smiled. I've long since thought of Bali as a possible point to attack. For one, that would show Luo Yu's dominance, and secondly, it would deal a heavy blow to Indonesia. Most importantly, our outlet store there was smashed, and 2 of our workers were killed. Now, Bali has been a victim of terrorism more than once during the past 10 years. Looking at Su Yuehua's expectant eyes, Huang Inian continued. So even if we cause an international dispute, we can say that that was Indonesia collaborating with terrorists to attack Luo Yu. We can say that since the Indonesian government hasn't reacted properly, it has clear animosity towards Luo Yu. Luo Yu's rights have been stepped on. And in Luo Yu, justice is the most important thing. Any offenders must pay the price. Of course, we will only attack the military and not the civilians. Yi Emo nodded. Although this reasoning was a bit far-fetched, it was better than nothing. Plus, Luo Yu did indeed suffer heavy losses by Indonesia's hands. I believe I might have a good suggestion too, Yu Miaodong said. Although Bali is big, it won't survive long under our force. I suggest that Commander Huang take over the airport and docks first, after which we can send back all the tourists. As for all the touristic facilities, we can destroy them just like they destroyed our store. Yu Miaodong didn't say it out loud, but everyone knew that it wasn't realistic to think they could take over Bali for a long time. Even if Luo Yu had the power, the Union wouldn't allow that. Once Indonesia agreed to some form of compensation, Luo Yu's army would have to retreat. But if they destroyed all the touristic facilities and sent away all the tourists, then that would be a huge blow to the Indonesian economy. It was an extremely big risk to so much as invade the island of Bali, much less to want to seize it. If Yi Emo wasn't a cultivator, perhaps he wouldn't even be doing it. Yi Emo knew that once most of the power in the world joined together against Luo Yu wouldn't be able to stop them. But Yi Emo had his trump cards too. If he really had no other choice, he would use nukes and go around assassinating people. No one would dare to push a country with nukes too much. Although this world had all sorts of rules, people with power still made the final calls. For example, if the US wanted to invade a small country suddenly, they could find 100 reasons to justify themselves. Power was the ultimate deciding factor. Meanwhile, Yi Ling was with Tang Beiwei, hearing the truth about everything. Yi Ling was dazed for some time before looking at Tang Beiwei in disbelief. Beiwei, you mean that your brother's real sister and I'm not? Tang Beiwei nodded and said after a while, In fact, I'm not sure if I'm his real sister either, but he doesn't want to do any blood testing. He said that we're already true sisters to him, and we will be regardless of any tests. I don't want to lose him as my brother, so I didn't insist on the check either. Then that means that I might be his real sister after all. Yi Ling was pretty worried. But I understand, brother. He doesn't want to lose us two sisters, so when he asks you later, don't disappoint him. He really loves us, Tang Beiwei said as she looked at Yi Ling. Yi Ling breathed a sigh of relief. The second day after Yi Mo came back to Luoyu, Luoyu suddenly declared war on Indonesia and said that all who helped Indonesia were enemies of Luoyu. Unexpectedly, though, Luoyu only declared war on Indonesia and actually gave the Philippines a week to pay Luoyu 50 billion Luoyu dollars. Luoyu's actions shocked the world once more. Luoyu was just a newly establishment government. They might have been able to defend against the Union's invasion, but no one believed they could really invade Indonesia. And this time was special too. Indonesia clearly had someone supporting them, yet Luoyu still declared war. Luoyu was basically just a corporation, but it declared war on a country over the death of a few people. This seemed too childish, didn't it? And this was with the Union requesting peaceful means. Politicians all over shook their heads. How could they so easily declare war on a country? Yi Mo only felt contempt at all this, and he really didn't care. Even if an army 10 times their size came, he still had a bottle of essence chi pills, and with the interference machine he would be able to at least end the battle in a draw. He might not be a politician, but that didn't mean he didn't have a brain. He had thought of all the consequences already. But what happened next ignited the world. 10 minutes after the declaration of war, news of Luoyu's fleet attacking Bali appeared. Indonesia was worried and Bali was worried. In fact, Indonesia sunk into chaos. Although they had been buying weapons and acting tough, that was just all an act to gain some bargaining chips. But Luoyu was a mad place and had actually declared war, even starting it as soon as they declared it. Meanwhile, Indonesia's defensive status was just on its regular level. It hadn't believed that Luoyu would truly start a war over such small matters. Luoyu's fleet destroyed Bali's military port without any resistance, only leaving the civilian port intact. And as Indonesia started crazily amassing an army for Bali, Luoyu's missiles were already accurately striking military facilities. Bali's defenses were like a layer of paper in Luoyu's eyes, while its counterattack was rendered useless by the interference machine. The U.S. president slammed the sheets of paper he was holding on the table in front of him. Luoyu was crazy. Indonesia was supported by the U.S., and he had suggested their course of action. Although the previous president had been impeached thanks to Luoyu, allowing him to step up, he didn't have any good impression of Luoyu. He also thought of Luoyu as having stolen America's land and business. A large half of the U.S.'s gold storage being might also be due to Luoyu. Now that he was president, he was confident that he could strangle Luoyu dead with some time. Chapter 652. Luoyu offending everyone. Chapter 652. Luoyu offending everyone. They hadn't started to fight yet, but letters of help were being sent, like crazy. The president felt helpless. Indonesia was too useless. Even if Luoyu declared war, as long as they could stall Luoyu for 2 days, they would lose. Luoyu didn't have the power and storage to hold a long-term war. If they were stalled, the World Union Army wouldn't take long to arrive to the Indian Ocean. But looking at the letters, the president knew his idea wasn't plausible, and Luoyu seemed to know this. Hence, they had declared war now and began to fight. Huang Yinian led Luoyu's fleet into the Indian Ocean like no one was there. The U.S. wanted to fight back immediately, but they couldn't. Also, even if they did, they had to wait for the approval of the Union. Although Luoyu's declaration of war wasn't in accordance with the Code of Peace, they had their reasons, despite them being very ridiculous. How could the U.S. justify sending an army? They would need a few days to find an excuse. And in a few days' time, Bali would have been devoured by Luoyu already. The moment Luoyu started the war, the U.S. president also urged the Union to hurry up. He knew that for all sorts of reasons the U.S. also had to join the war. Because if Luoyu really took over Bali Island, then most of the countries in Southeast Asia would be under the range of Luoyu's fleet's cannons. If that was the case with Luoyu's dim-witted brains, they might really attack other countries and even cause World War III. The outcomes might not be that serious, but who knew if Luoyu would end up trying to control the Indian Ocean? If the Southeast Asian alliance intervened, then perhaps Luoyu would take the Strait of Malacca. It was a route connecting the Indian Ocean to the Pacific. Many of the U.S. interests were there. The U.S. had to control that area. If it went into the hands of Southeast Asian countries, the U.S. could still control it and plan for the future. However, if it fell into Luoyu's hands, it would be impossible for them to get it back. If Luoyu controlled that area, it would only increase Luoyu's development. How could the U.S. let that happen? Its tactical use was also very important to the U.S. If the U.S. controlled the Strait of Malacca, then first they could force the Russian Navy to give up going back to their base in the North Vietnam Bay. Second, the Strait of Malacca was near China. It was China's southern gate and an important cruise line for energy. Guarding this region of the sea would allow them to stop China's growth whenever they wanted. Third, if the U.S. Army was stationed there, they could stop the Luoyu army from expanding to India or the Pacific. What the U.S. president feared the most was that Luoyu would give over the control of the strait to China once they had it. If China got the strait, then the president didn't dare to keep thinking. But Luoyu wasn't a rock. They were countless times stronger than a rock. While the Union was holding an urgent meeting, Luoyu's fleet took over Bali Island easily. The Indonesian fleet that tried to stop Luoyu didn't even manage to get near them. There were planes flying around everywhere. But Indonesia couldn't stop the planes from dropping bombs. Almost every 2 bombs, a ship sank. Looking at the old ships sinking, Hwang Inian felt very satisfied. He didn't need those broken ships. YMO had already taken all of Indonesia's high-quality ships in their previous fight. It was an uneven battle. Luoyu had it better in terms of quality and quantity. Indonesia barely had air force power. After fighting the battle, Hwang Inian realized how overpowered Yixing was. If Yixing would have really been working for Northern San nonstop, he was sure that World War III would be about to start. The U.S. was worried that Luoyu would start World War III, but Hwang Inian knew that Luoyu wouldn't do that. It was Northern San who would. Despite the Indonesian fleet coming with an aggressive temperament, Hwang Inian could see they couldn't even aim properly. Of course, this was all due to the interference machine. The battle started quickly and also ended quickly. Under Hwang Inian's lead, Luoyu's fleet sunk all sorts of ships of different calibers. They had captured 2 big ships, 2 guard ships, and 3 light ships, as well as 5,000 soldiers. They were all taken back to Luoyu to help with construction. The whole battle didn't even last an hour. Most of the time was spent accepting surrenders. The strongest fleet in Southeast Asia couldn't even resist against Luoyu's attacks. After this battle, Indonesia wouldn't be able to recover from the losses for at least a few decades. The most ironic thing was that their ships didn't even get a chance to dock on the bay. This was also partially due to Hwang Inian's experience in maritime warfare. Without the obstacle of the Indonesian Navy, Luoyu's fleet quickly destroyed all the military facilities on Bali and boarded the island. Just as Yu Miaodong suggested, Hwang Inian took over the airport first. Afterwards, he sent back all the tourists and he killed the Indonesian agents hidden amongst them. Luoyu's power and decisiveness shook the entire Southeast Asia. Not even the Indonesian Navy could resist Luoyu's power. After that, none of the southeastern countries wanted to support Indonesia. The moment Luoyu declared war, the Union immediately reproached Luoyu and held a special meeting. But the meeting hadn't finished yet when news of Luoyu winning the war and taking over Bali got spread. Luoyu had sent away the tourists, and they acted like they were going to attack the Java island. Indonesia was really worried now. Java was different from Bali. This was where the capital of Indonesia was at. It was the political, economical, and cultural center of Indonesia. Moreover, it was also the gate to the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. If Java was taken, Indonesia would be like choking the country. But now, all the maritime power was Luoyu's, and the other countries in Southeast Asia were retreating their fleets. They didn't dare intervene in this at all. This time, not only the U.S. was angry, but many other members of the Union were also siding with the U.S. Taking over Bali was barely acceptable, but invading Java would be breaking world peace. Chapter 653. You can't do this. Chapter 653. You can't do this. Does Luoyu want to use Southeast Asia as their bathtub, or do they want to trample on world peace and start World War III? They are completely squashing world peace, human rights, and the development of the world. The U.S. representative, Peter, stood up and commented in anger. Peter had been the consultant of the previous U.S. president, and after the change in power, not only did he not lose his status, he instead became the U.S. representative. Jipan's face looked bad, and he glanced at Peter. Peter was acting as though he wasn't doing his job as head secretary. Jipan knew that Peter wanted to use the Union to have the whole world attack Luoyu. Although he detested Luoyu's arrogance, the city lord of Luoyu was a madman. Just when everyone thought he wouldn't start war, he did. And by the time the Union held a meeting, he had already destroyed 90% of Indonesia's naval power. They were so fast that Jipan wondered if Luoyu would have already taken over Java by the time the meeting ended. Despite knowing that that might be possible, Jipan still couldn't request the Union to have the whole world declare war on Luoyu. He wasn't insane like Luoyu. Luoyu had nukes now, so if they really took desperate measures against Luoyu, then if Luoyu started throwing around nukes everywhere, it wouldn't be World War III, it would be Armageddon. So he needed to deal with this appropriately and make Luoyu realize that they couldn't just casually use their nuclear power to threaten people. Peter's words started up a debate. Although most people supported attacking Luoyu, rarely anyone dared say it. They understood Luoyu's power. Luoyu had a very accurate intercontinental missile guidance system as well as a very powerful interference machine. And that wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that they could use those two technologies to launch their nukes too. If Luoyu knew that someone had agreed to attacking Luoyu and the first nuke Luoyu sent out was against them, they would be done for. Most countries would at most vote yes, but none would stand up and agree out loud. If they did, Luoyu would know for sure, because Luoyu was also a part of the international community now and had a representative present. But even though the U.S. had said that much, Luoyu's representative only smiled and didn't say anything. Just looking at this, everyone knew that Luoyu didn't even have a foreign affairs minister. Luoyu's representative had been decided upon after the first battle, and it was only under the strong request of the Union that Luoyu joined the Union and sent Mo Hai as its representative. Mo Hai had been in the business scene for many years and knew Mo since way back. Even when he didn't talk, that didn't mean he was dumb. He knew that Luoyu was being a bully right now, so he had to keep a low profile and act dumb. He had to make everyone know that Luoyu really didn't have anyone proper for his job. Mr. Mo Luoyu is ignoring world peace and forcibly invading other countries. I really want to know why Luoyu, who has always proclaimed itself an advocate of peace, would do such a thing? I don't understand. So, could Mr. Mo, being the representative for Luoyu, provide us with an explanation for this? Jipan just had to ask. Mo Hai nodded and got up. Luoyu has always been peace-loving. I've said that many times here. As for the reason for the war, I'm sure everyone knows. But in order to give everyone here a satisfying answer, May I leave for a while to contact my city lord and then answer your question, Mr. Jupon? Of course, Mr. Amo. Do as you please, Jupon agreed. Amo Hai went to the resting area, ordered coffee, and lit up a cigarette. Other than that, he didn't do anything, making the person watching him very annoyed. Meanwhile, the war was still going on. There was just a mountain and a strait between Bali and Java. After Luoyu took over Bali, their naval power gathered at that strait. By then, another carrier had led another fleet there from the Indian Ocean. They were clearly surrounding the island of Java. At that moment, the meeting was still going on, and still no decision had been made. Indonesia was totally worried. By the time a solution appeared, who knew what state Java would be in? The U.S. would be too slow to rely on, and they couldn't rely on the Southeast Asian alliance either. The only way to stop Luoyu was to negotiate with them again. Indonesia, who had been very cocky on the negotiation table before, successfully begged Luoyu for a second negotiation. It was held on a Luoyu ship. Participating in the meeting were Yumiaodan, Luo Fei, and a few assistants on Luoyu's side, and Dino and a few negotiation masters on the Indonesian side. Looking at them, Yumiaodan sneered and didn't even sit down. She just said, I have orders that this must end in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, we will launch a full-scale attack. I'll say it once again. Luoyu loves peace, but those who provoke us should be prepared to face the consequences. Dino looked dazedly at Yumiaodan and thought, 10 minutes. What could we negotiate during that time? Dino thought that they could stall Luoyu with negotiations and wait for the arrival of the Union's army. But his plan was shattered by the 10-minute time limit. 1 minute has already gone by, Yumiaodan said casually. Dino knew that Luoyu must have seen through their plans and wouldn't give them any chances. If Luoyu was really set on attacking Java, however, they wouldn't have come over to negotiate. As though seeing what Dino was thinking, Yumiaodan smiled. We love peace, remember? See, you requested for a negotiation and we came. Dino said in anger, Since your side loves peace so much, then you should sit down and negotiate with us, and not threaten us with a 10-minute time limit. I've never heard of a negotiation that can be completed in 10 minutes. Yumiaodan glanced at Dino and sighed. Aish, I really meant well for you with the 10-minute time limit. Okay, in that case, we can decide to negotiate with you for 1 day. Yes, 1 day should be enough. Dino looked at Yumiaodan in surprise and joy. He didn't think they would accept so easily. He was too surprised. With a few hours extra, the Union should be able to react. They wouldn't even need a day. Dino smiled. We thank Luoyu for its genuine attitude. Excuse my ill-mannered words before. Please have a seat. Yumiaodan smiled and sat down. Dino coughed and drank a cup of tea before saying slowly, Ms. Yu, to be honest, I hope for your side's retreat. As for the Luoyu outlet incident, we express our deepest regrets. And, of course, Dino suddenly stopped when a few loud explosions were audible. He got up subconsciously, and a bad feeling rose up from the bottom of his heart. He looked at Yumiaodan and asked desperately, Ms. Yu, what was that sound? Then there were a few more explosions. Yumiaodan sipped some tea slowly. That's our navy attacking Java. Dino looked at Yumiaodan with a pale face. An explosion sounded again, and he roared, We're in the middle of negotiating. How can you attack Java? Yumiaodan said coldly, What does us negotiating have got to do with attacking Java? You wanted a negotiation, and so we gave you one. Do you also want to control our army and tell us when to stop now? Dino finally understood why that 10-minute time limit was her meaning well for them. He was shaking in anger and pointed at Yumiaodan. You can't do this! Chapter 654, Means to Serve a Purpose. Chapter 654, Means to serve a purpose. The fire outside seemed to be getting more and more concentrated. Dino looked at Yumiaodan and said very carefully, I agree to 10 minutes negotiation. Please, give us 10 minutes time and stop the attack. Yumiaodan smiled. It'd be fine even if you asked for 100 minutes. but I can't command the Navy. Politics and the military are separated issues. My city lord only looks at my report, not my suggestions. Mr. Dino, if you really want a quiet and peaceful outside, it's best to settle the negotiations as soon as possible." Dino's face was green, but before he could reply, his assistant gave the phone to him. After the call ended, Dino's expression had gotten calm again. He sat down and said to Yumiaodon, "Chief Yu were willing to give Luo Yu as compensation 70 billion Luo Yu dollars. In exchange, your side must stop the invasion immediately and retreat." Yumiaodon said slowly, "It had been before, that compensation amount would have been just fine. We would have gladly accepted it. However, after this war, our losses are immeasurable." Dino was so angry that he didn't even want to sit down. He said rapidly, "How much do you guys want? Just tell me." Dino wanted to cry. It was no negotiation. They were pointing a gun at his face and robbing him. Luo Yu had lost some missiles at most, but Indonesia's losses that were truly immeasurable. Yumiaodon scrolled through the files in front of her and said after a while, "Originally, the city lord asked for 300 billion Luo Yu dollars." Dino was almost paralyzed after hearing that. 300 billion Luo Yu dollars. It was half of the nation's GDP. But Yumiaodon continued, "However, the city lord wishes to maintain peace, so he has decided to reduce it to 100 billion. Dino breathed at ease. 100 billion was still acceptable. He wiped the sweat off his head, but Yumiaodon hadn't finished. "Still, Luo Yu needs a place to stay in the Sunda Strait, so we will be renting the Jason Giambi Island for 99 years. "No, that's impossible." Dino rejected it without thinking. The Jason Giambi Island was the passage to the Sunda Strait. If it got rent, what about the Sunda Strait Bridge they had been working on these years? Moreover, the Sunda Strait was one of the U.S. stations. It was the American 7th Fleet main passage into the Indian Ocean from the Pacific Ocean. If Indonesia agreed to that, the U.S. wouldn't let it be. Yumiaodon sneered, "Of course we will give Bali Island back, and we won't interfere with the bridge building." Dino sneered. They had to give Bali back, no matter what. Even if he didn't ask for it, other countries would intervene in this matter. Suddenly, he realized that if Luo Yu took over Jason Giambi Island, then the U.S. would have to face a problem when entering the Indian Ocean. That way, the conflict would be just between Luo Yu and the U.S. Indonesia could get out of that issue. Why should they help the U.S.? Furthermore, that island wasn't a big loss to Indonesia. If the U.S. and Luo Yu fought, Indonesia could just sit back and reap the benefits. Thinking about this, Dino had a bleak smile. That island would be taken back by the U.S. sooner or later. Why would Indonesia help the U.S.? If it hadn't been for them, Indonesia wouldn't have suffered such losses. They would have only had to pay 70 billion Luo Yu dollars. But now it was 100 billion, and the damage on Bali was immeasurable. Dino went outside and made a quick call. Then he ran back in and said, "Okay, we agree. Let's write the agreement now." Yumiaodon pushed the files over to Dino and said, "No need, Luo Yu has already signed. We're just waiting for your signature." Dino looked at the ready-printed files and suddenly felt like he had walked into a trap. That feeling wasn't good. When Mo Hai walked into the meeting room, it was near its end. It seemed that the Union had made a decision while he was away. When Mo Hai came in, Jipon acted as though he didn't see him. It was obvious that he didn't care about Mo Hai's opinion anymore. But for the first time, Mo Hai requested to talk. Many people thought that he would be speaking meaningless garbage. But Mo Hai said, "Luo Yu puts international peace as top priority. Considering that peace is hard to obtain and considering the will of the Union, Luo Yu has now reached an agreement with Indonesia. We will retreat from Bali and not attack Java. Perhaps no one believes us, but the moment I entered this room, the army had already started retreating." What? The news shocked everyone. They had just reached a consensus to attack Luo Yu in order to keep world peace. But Luo Yu was retreating now. Many country delegates felt at ease. Luo Yu retreating meant that they hadn't really invaded Indonesia and that they were just putting up a show for the Indonesians. After all, they had killed Luo Yu people and then didn't want to pay compensation. I suggest to immediately suspend our previous decision about Luo Yu. Luo Yu is retreating. We can't attack them anymore. After all, Indonesia started the problem. If we still attack Luo Yu now, it would be going against keeping world peace. Russia was the first to talk. Peter immediately wanted to get up and rebuke this idea, but he knew that it would be inappropriate at a time like this. No one would agree. Pan could rest assured. He was the person who didn't want the war the most. At that moment, the U.S. president had received the contents of Luo Yu and Indonesia's agreement. He didn't care about how much Indonesia was compensating Luo Yu. But what infuriated him was that Indonesia had actually rented Sunda Strait to Luo Yu. With this, Luo Yu could control the U.S. every move. He couldn't allow this to happen, but the island belonged to Indonesia. If they wanted to rent it, the U.S. couldn't intervene. He would bet that the reason Luo Yu had asked for the island was to be able to fight the U.S. The Indonesian government was garbage. The president wanted to roar. He had no other means to stop it. He even suspected that Luo Yu had already thought of the outcome before they started the invasion. The U.S. had finally found an opportunity to attack Luo Yu, but it ended before it even begun. If Luo Yu really had calculated all this, they were a political enemy that couldn't be underestimated. They were masters in schemes and shenanigans. Thinking about this, the U.S. still had another breakthrough point: the Philippines. However, not long after that, his assistant gave him news that Luo Yu and the Philippines had also reached a consensus. The Philippines had asked for peace and resolution after Luo Yu took over Bali. Seeing that the Philippines had come to them first, Luo Yu reduced the compensation amount to 30 billion Luo Yu dollars. F***CK. The president swore and smashed the files on the ground. He felt like he was failure as a president. Right this moment, the president believed that the person who had orchestrated the plan must have the experience of a bunch of lifetimes. Otherwise, how did he manage to calculate the timing and everything else so precisely? Announce right away that we're holding a meeting at the White House. The president was worried. He felt like he was a step behind Luo Yu every single time. Yu Miaodong admired. Yimos means too much. She finally understood what war was now. It wasn't the final goal, but the means to serve a purpose. They had just provided a simple war plan, yet Yimo had calculated everything to the minute. At the same time, Yimo was surprised at the Meng family's fortune-telling art's power. When he combined it with the battle plan he had made, many things fit into place, allowing him to make the perfect plan. The only problem was Bali Island, but now that they retreated, they no longer had to worry. Just when Yimo was about to leave and go to the welcoming ceremony for the soldiers, Suiwehwa knocked on the door desperately. Chapter 655. Another Wave of Trouble. Chapter 655. Another wave of trouble. Yimo immediately knew that something was bad when he saw Su Yuehwa's face. He immediately asked, "Sister Yuehwa, what happened?" Su Yuehwa calmed down upon seeing Yimo's calm face. She had been worrying a lot, though. Before, she was worrying about the U.S. and those other countries who wanted Luo Yu's wealth, not about Indonesia. If they used Indonesia as an excuse to attack Luo Yu, then Luo Yu would be really facing hardship. That army wouldn't be a 100,000-man army. It would be a 1,000,000-man army. And the Union had too many ways to deal with Luo Yu. They didn't even need to send an army. All they had to do was lock down Luo Yu geographically, and Luo Yu would go bankrupt. Luo Yu is a city, completely reliant on import. Something happened on Bali, Suiwehwa replied. Yimo thought, this Meng family fortune-telling art is powerful indeed. Something really did happen on Bali. Yimo nodded. Have we retreated out of Bali already? Yes, our armies left an hour ago, but 5 tourists have gone missing from our military camp. Suyuehua replied. Yi Emo frowned and said quickly, "Even if they did, that shouldn't be too much of a problem, right?" Yi Emo knew that this would reduce Luo Yu's popularity and increase the enmity of other countries, but Yi Emo had already warned Huang Inian about it. So the first thing they did when they took over Bali was to protect the tourists properly and send them to the airport. This was to prevent Indonesians from causing chaos and killing people while blaming it on Luo Yu. Suyuehua said worriedly, "People have released clips of these 5 tourists going into Luo Yu's military camp. Among them are 3 women, 2 of which are very important people." Yi Emo felt like that wasn't normal. It was normal for people to go missing in war, but for them to happen to have been filmed going into Luo Yu's military camp before disappearing? That wasn't normal. Suyuehua said, "2 of the 5 are American, 2 are British, and 1 is Indian. The most troublesome are the 2 British women, their mother and daughter pair, more precisely the wife and daughter of the late Marquis Rod. After Marquis Rod died, his wife and daughter worked very hard as philanthropists and are deeply loved by the British people. They were touring in Bali when the war started and went missing in Luo Yu's military site." Yi Emo realized that they must have been set up. How could there be such a coincidence? Has the news gotten online? Yi Emo asked. Suyuehua nodded. Currently, the British citizens are very angry and ask Luo Yu for an explanation. Although the US and India haven't made any announcements, I'm sure they will soon. Yi Emo realized that this had probably been done by the US. If Luo Yu could start war with Indonesia for a few employees, then the British would have all the more of a reason to start a war when members of their nobility went missing. And if England wanted to attack Luo Yu, the US would help them for sure. If India joined them too, then Luo Yu would be facing enemies from 3 sides. How is Commander Huang dealing with that now? Yi Emo asked. He ordered Liang Di to take a squadron of soldiers, search the campsite, and search for clues. Although he wanted to send the army back, I figured that that wouldn't be appropriate, so I stopped him, Suyuehua answered. Yi Emo nodded. You did well. Not only should Commander Huang retreat, but so must Liang Di. I will deal with this myself. When our army returns, install the maximum defensive state until I come back. If Huang Inian brought the army back to Bali, that would be falling for their scheme. Luo Yu would lose its credibility, and Huang Inian wouldn't be able to find any clues anyway. Yi Emo was sure that making Huang Inian return to Bali was one of their goals. But if that didn't happen, then their second goal was probably to have England, US, and India start a war with Luo Yu with a good reason. Yi Emo knew that only he could deal with this problem. As long as those 5 weren't dead, he would find them. And Yi Emo believed that they wouldn't kill the 5 so easily. Yes, Suyuehua replied. Hold on, Dash, Yi Emo stopped her again and said, these 5 tourists can't have disappeared magically, so check the soldiers that were stationed there at the time of the 5's disappearance, as well as the soldiers' higher-ups. Suyuehua was shook. It's not like she hadn't thought about checking them, but she subconsciously didn't want to. But since this had happened, it meant that there had to be traitors somewhere. She wondered if Huang Inian had realized that. No matter who it is, if you find him, lock him up immediately and wait until I come back. Remember to send me the results immediately, Yi Emo said. As soon as Suyuehua left, Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue appeared together. Hearing that Yi Emo was going out, Ning Qingxue helped Yi Emo tidy his clothes and said, If I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have asked you to build a city. I didn't think it would give you this much trouble. Yi Emo held Luo Ying's and Ning Qingxue's hands and said, It's not that hard, and I'm doing this for our future. I want everyone in Luo Yu to be able to live peacefully and happily. I want to be able to enjoy walking in the city and cultivate here in peace. Luo Ying grabbed Yi Emo's hand in satisfaction and didn't talk. Yi Emo kissed the 2 and said, Wait for me. When I come back, we will have our wedding. The White House was holding an urgent meeting when they suddenly received news that 5 tourists had disappeared from Luo Yu's military camp. And Luo Yu had only retreated after they disappeared. Luo Yu's army obviously couldn't distance itself from this. The U.S. president felt like laughing. With his wits, of course he knew that this had happened due to someone scheming against Luo Yu. He knew that after this happened, the U.S. would be the first Luo Yu would suspect, but he didn't care anymore. The U.S. would have loved to have done it, but someone else just did it for them. No matter why someone had done it, he liked it a lot. Because he had an excuse to do something now. Pause the meeting. I need to call the British Prime Minister, the U.S. President said. Chapter 656. The Underground Tunnel of the Campsite. Chapter 656. The underground tunnel of the campsite, although Bali had been a battlefield, its tourist attractions hadn't gotten damaged significantly as Luo Yu's army has arrived and left in no time. When Luo Yu's army attacked Bali, they mainly took over the military facilities, the main tourist attractions, and transport routes. So the place Luo Yu's army had stayed at was close to the Bai Strait, which was also very close to the airport. Luo Yu's army had planned it strategically, so that they could fly or leave from there. When Yi Mo came to this place, he sighed. Everything there had been wiped away. He could understand it. How could the army allow large amounts of tall buildings to still stand there? Although there were only about 10,000 people that participated Bali's occupation, the base they stayed at was very big. So big that his spirit sense couldn't cover it completely. At this moment, Yi Mo saw Liang Di take his people and go to a military ship placed in a simple dock. Yi Mo didn't go meet them. He could tell just by looking that they hadn't found out anything. It was better if they left early. Otherwise, as long as Luo Yu's army was still in Bali, there would be more room for people to doubt their intentions. Luo Yu had already gotten the most out of the war. If they didn't leave at the right time, it might have negative repercussions. After Liang Di and the rest left, Yi Mo started to inspect the base. There were 2 ways to access the base. One was from the Bai Strait, and the other one was from the attack route Luo Yu had used to invade Bali. Yi Mo took note that most of the tourist attractions surrounding the attack route had been destroyed by the army. Some had been trampled over by tanks and armored vehicles. Looking at this, Yi Mo was confused. How could have the 5 tourists gotten into Luo Yu's base and been recorded? It was impossible to get in through the Bai Strait, so the only other possibility was from the road occupied by Luo Yu's army. But that route was also impossible. Even a dog would be seen by the guards, much less 5 people. Yi Mo walked to the base's gate and stood there for a long time. The 2 sides of the road were also very empty. There was nothing that could block their vision. A bit further down, there was a barbed wire fence. Yi Mo searched the fences nearby with his spirit sense and soon found something different. He walked to this part of the fence. There were obvious signs of someone having cut through it, but then it had been twisted back together. The place wasn't far from the main door, and it was a blind spot. Yi Mo sighed. Although Luo Yu was one of the most developed countries in the world in some fields, and thanks to this Luo Yu's military power had increased a lot too, there were still differences between them and world-class military powers. If it had been the U.S. or some other country's elite force, they wouldn't have let someone cut open the wire under their eyes, even if there was a traitor. Yi Mo wanted to reopen the wire and investigate from there, but he could hear cars coming. It was probably the Indonesian army. As soon as they came, they cut the wires into pieces and threw them on a big truck. His guess was right. If he had come a little later, he wouldn't have been able to see that. They obviously had come to destroy the evidence. It was good as long as he could find someone to ask about it. Yi Mo decided not to follow the guy immediately. He marked him with a spirit sense mark instead. He kept searching around nearby. He believed that the Indonesian government hadn't planned it. If they could think of such a plan when they were in such dire situation, they wouldn't have fought so poorly. Yi Mo continued walking through the area where the wire had been cut. He walked very slowly and seeped his spirit sense into the ground. There was nowhere to hide on the surface, so the only possible place to hide was underground. Soon Yi Mo stopped. He hadn't found anything after walking for a few hundred meters. The person he marked had also stopped moving, which meant that he arrived at his destination. Yi Mo decided to go check who was behind this man, who had ordered him to remove all the wires. Yi Mo soon got to where he had stopped, but when he saw the guy, he realized why he was no longer moving. The man was now dead. Yi Mo immediately saw that he had been bitten by a snake, a very poisonous one. Such a sudden and unexpected death. Yi Mo sighed. Since the man was dead, the mastermind could be sure that other people wouldn't be able to link the death to him. If he hadn't come there, it would have just been labeled as an accident. Even though the lead was gone, Yi Mo was still going to find someone to ask. Just when he was about to do so, his phone started vibrating. It was Su Yuehua. The people on duty that day had all gone missing except for 2 bodies. Give me the details of the original installations of the base and facilities. I want a map as precise as possible, Yi Mo immediately said. Since the 5 tourists had disappeared in the base, then it meant that the problem was inside of it and it must be underground. Su Yuehua did as told quickly. Not long after Yi Mo received the map of the original base. With the map, Yi Mo just realized that the place had been a commercial district near the airport. It had been covered, but Yi Mo's spirit sense could still pierce more than 10 meters into the ground. He was sure that even if there were underground rooms, he could find them within 10 meters or so. Yi Mo walked through the entire street, but he still didn't find anything. He started to walk back in disappointment, still without any results. Yi Mo was sure that there was an underground room somewhere, because 5 people couldn't have just disappeared for no reason after entering the base. Otherwise, they would have been caught 100% sure if they went into the base. Caught 100% sure? Yi Mo thought carefully about this and went back to the door. Huang Yinian had only known about the 5 missing tourists after news got online. If they had managed to go deep into the base without Huang Yinian knowing, then he was too useless. Yi Mo walked to the guard station. It had originally been a cafe. He reached his spirit sense down, and indeed, he found an underground room. He finally understood. They had been brought there, taken into the guard tower, and disappeared. He felt this opponent was very strong and was a step ahead of Luo Yu. If the missing guard wasn't a traitor, he must have been killed. Yi Mo dug and pulled an iron board until it opened. The putrid smell of the sea came in, but it dissipated quickly as though it came out of nowhere. Yi Mo reached his spirit sense down. It was a storage room. Other than some coffee beans, there was nothing else. But he knew that since the 5 tourists had disappeared there must be a hidden mechanisms. The floor was made of granite stone, and there was just earth under it. But Yi Mo could see with his spirit sense that the earth near the door was 1 meter thick. And under this meter-thick earth layer there was an underground tunnel. The tunnel was very well hidden and near the door. The earth around it was the same as there. The place was very hard to find. In order to find the switch to open the tunnel, Yi Mo spent almost half an hour. Eventually he pressed the trigger. Rumble! A dark passage appeared before him with the smell of the ocean wind. Chapter 657. Save Life. Chapter 657. Save life, no wonder there had briefly been the smell of the ocean before then disappearing. Yi Mo couldn't see the end of the tunnel even with his spirit sense, but that didn't matter much. He immediately proceeded rapidly through the tunnel after entering it, all the while keeping his spirit sense activated. Soon, Yi Mo realized that this tunnel definitely hadn't been dug out in a short time. It must have been at least a few months since it was dug out. Who would know to dig a tunnel there a few months beforehand? What did they want to do? Did these people foresee that Luo Yu was going to build a military camp there, so they dug a tunnel? That was impossible. The tunnel got more and more slanted the further Yimo went in, and water started seeping out, seawater. The tunnel was connected to the sea ahead. Yimo stopped at the place with a lot of water and found that the ground seemed odd. There was a very strange entrance there. Suddenly, 2 black men crawled up from it. Yimo moved aside, and after the 2 left the entrance, they quickly ran along the way Yimo came from, as though they had left something behind. At that moment, Yimo realized that not only the entrance was slanted down, but the tunnel kept slanting down even further. A few hundred meters later, Yimo's spirit sense noticed a nuclear submarine. Its door was closed at the moment. A nuclear submarine was hiding under Bali, and it had cheated Luo Yu's radar? Alarm bells immediately went off in Yimo's mind. Although Luo Yu's radar wasn't the most advanced in the world, how could a nuclear submarine be right under Luo Yu's fleet and not be caught? This was too absurd. What if they suddenly attacked? Did the sub belong to the U.S.? Yimo doubted it, because if the U.S.'s radar avoidance technology was this powerful, how could they lose everything in the last war? He had to tell Yi Xing about it immediately. Only Yi Xing could think of a way to deal with it. So this tunnel had been made in order to bring the people there to the nuclear submarine. And after the people entered the submarine, the tunnel could contract. Such an intricate design. The person who could think of this was no lesser than Yi Xing. Since the submarine was there, the 5 missing people should be there too. Yimo's first thought was to rescue the people in the submarine because if he didn't, the U.S. would use this matter as an excuse to start war. But Yimo stopped in his steps. Those 2 men didn't walk back to the storage room, and instead they stopped halfway. When one man pressed a remote controller, another tunnel appeared out of the stone wall, leading to a room. Yimo cursed. These people were too careful. If he didn't have his invisibility and without the right timing, he wouldn't even be able to find such things. There were 5 people inside the room, 3 of which female and 2 male. Yimo realized that they were the missing tourists. Yimo no longer had any intentions of going down to the submarine as he needed to save them first. The submarine was important and he might find the answers he needed on it, though, so he didn't want to startle anyone just yet. Yimo marked the tunnel which led to the submarine and quickly followed the 2 men into the room. After Yimo went in, the 2 black men said something to the 5 captives, and 3 of them started trying to persuade the mother and daughter pair. Then the 5 started arguing. Yimo felt like that wasn't normal and started filming. After a while, the 2 black men walked out, but they didn't close the door. The argument was getting more and more heated until one man walked to the mother and slapped her. Then, the man said something to the other man and woman and left the room with them. He closed the door. Now, there was just the British mother and daughter pair there. They looked more like sisters, though, and their age difference didn't seem to be big. Yimo shook his head. He had decided to learn some other languages when he had the time. It wouldn't be hard for him anyways, and there was no reason for him to keep not understanding anything each time. After the 5 people left and headed to the tunnel to the submarine, Yimo opened the door and walked in. From what had just happened, it seemed the other 3 had been persuaded to join the 2 black men. Anyway, even if they weren't together anymore, Yimo didn't need to take those others away. To Yimo, he only needed to save the mother and daughter. As long as Luo Yu's danger passed, he could focus on dealing with that submarine. The 2 looked at Yimo in confusion. Yimo saw this and said, "I came to save you. If you can't understand me, it doesn't matter, but I can take you away." "You're Chinese?" the younger girl suddenly asked in Chinese, although Yimo could barely understand her. Yimo rejoiced and said immediately, "I came from Luo Yu because a British mother and daughter pair went missing, and everyone thought it was Luo Yu's doing. Hence, I wanted to save them. I'd like to ask, are you that pair?" Yes, I'm Annie, and this is my mother Kaya. We were tricked here, and we know those people, but Annie didn't know how to express what she wanted to say. Yi Mo wanted to send the two away and then follow the submarine. He could leave Su Yuehua to deal with them. Just when Yi Mo brought the two out, two more people came into the tunnel. Yi Mo's spirit sense noticed them, so he grabbed the two and darted back into the storage room. Annie subconsciously wanted to scream, but she couldn't make a sound. Just when she was scared, Yi Mo said, "Don't worry, you two walk too slow, so I had to carry you." Annie understood now and said with embarrassment, "Sorry, what is your name?" Yi Mo didn't have the mood to chat with them. He needed to take the two away, and in order for the people to not suspect something, he needed to make it seem as if the two had escaped by themselves. When Yi Mo let the two go, Kaya suddenly pinched Yi Mo's arm and said something before giving Yi Mo a kiss on the face. Seeing this, Annie laughed and also kissed Yi Mo, saying, "You're really strong. My mother says you haven't told us your name yet." "I'm Yi Mo, then." Yi Mo quickly pulled the two up. Kaya's chest was the biggest Yi Mo had ever seen, but he didn't feel anything, as his heart was filled with Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue. But Yi Mo wasn't dumb. When Kaya hugged him, she was flirty, which made Yi Mo realize that she seemed to have some ulterior motives of her own. Seeing that Kaya was going to say something, Yi Mo quickly said, "We need to leave here quick. The people behind are chasing up." Due to Kaya's behavior, Yi Mo didn't continue carrying the two, so they ended up slowing down. By the time Yi Mo pushed up that metal board and the storage room made a loud rumble, Yi Mo already knew that those people had caught up. He didn't expect that they would be so fast, though. Chapter 658. Suspicious Woman. Chapter 658. Suspicious Woman. Just when Yi Mo pulled the two out of the tunnel, the sound of desperate footsteps appeared very close. When the three were less than 10 meters from the guard post, two more people came out of the tunnel. Just when the two women were worried that it was over, Yi Mo pulled them behind an old oil barrel. The barrel was so small that even a kid wouldn't be able to hide there without being caught, though. So when Annie and Kaya saw this, they almost had a panic attack. Kaya subconsciously wanted to talk, but Yi Mo immediately covered her mouth. Kaya looked in shock as their two followers looked around but didn't keep their eyes on them. Could they not see them from that position? Kaya was confused. Yi Mo knew that she probably wouldn't say anything anymore and was about to put his hand down when a wet thing licked the center of his palm. Yi Mo frowned at Kaya's behavior. There was something wrong with this woman. This was the second time, and he didn't think he was attractive enough for this widow to be jumping on him immediately. Moreover, he had heard from Su Yuehua that Rod's wife was pretty, sure, but also very loyal and traditional. Ever since her husband died, she had been doing a lot of charity with her daughter. Her life was very moral. How could she be like this? Yi Mo wasn't planning on checking Kaya, but her actions did make Yi Mo doubt her. He started checking Kaya with his spirit sense, and soon Yi Mo found some extremely small traces of energy. It was like the energy of the mutants. Using the level system Su Yuehua told her about, Yi Mo determined that she was a level 1 mutant at most, but Yi Mo couldn't tell what mutant power she had. Yi Mo checked Annie, and Annie was just an ordinary girl. Yi Mo didn't keep checking her afterwards, as even if he gave her to Luo Yu, a level 1 mutant wouldn't be able to do anything. Two white men came out of the tunnel, and when they actually didn't find any signs of Kaya and Annie, their faces changed drastically, and they ran out the door while calling someone. Seeing this, Yi Mo called Su Yuehua to tell her that he found the two and told her to arrange someone to pick them up. When Su Yuehua received Yi Mo's call, she was very shocked. How long had Yi Mo left Luo Yu? Yet he had already found them. What's more, they were at the military base. Even a plane couldn't get there that fast, right? This wasn't the first time she had seen Yi Mo's amazing means, though, and in her heart, Yi Mo could do anything. Su Yuehua soon told Yi Mo that Yu Miaodong was still nearby Strait and had met up with Liang Jun's group. She told Yemo to wait about half an hour in the base, and then there would be a helicopter to pick them up. Yemo wanted it to be as fast as possible to prevent the nuclear submarine from leaving the range of his spirit sense. Meanwhile, Annie was very shocked. She didn't know why they weren't found, even though they hid at such an obvious spot. Mr. Yi, thank you for saving us, but I would really like to know how those two didn't see us when they looked over. Can this small barrel really block their vision? Annie asked. Yemo smiled. Of course, he wouldn't tell them that he had used invisibility. So instead he replied, this was a blind spot to them, and since they were so worried, that caused their visual blind spot to be even broader. This was *T, of course. Time flew by fast, and by the time the helicopter arrived, the two men had rushed back into the tunnel. Perhaps they realized that they wouldn't be able to find the two escapees anymore. Seeing this, Yemo took Annie and Kaya out. At the same time, the helicopter landed at the original base. Yu Miaodong and Luo Fei came down with 2 Luo Yu special ops. Seeing Yemo bring the 2, Yu Miaodong rejoiced. Although it had only been 2 hours, Luo Yu already got news that the English Prime Minister asked Luo Yu for an explanation and that he was on a plane to the U.S. The Indian Minister of Foreign Affairs was also heading to the U.S. If Luo Yu didn't deal with this well, there would be serious repercussions, and it might cause another war. Even without war, the compensation they would ask for would be quite hefty. Before Annie could say anything, Yemo signaled the 2 soldiers to take them up. He needed to tell Yu Miaodong something. Seeing that Yemo didn't come up with her, Kaya suddenly walked over and hugged Yemo, saying softly, "Dearie, can you come along with us? Without you I feel unsafe." Hearing Annie's translation, Yemo smiled. "You guys can go back first and tell the world what happened to you in the tunnel. I want to see what organization abducted you. I'm trying to get revenge for you." Getting revenge was a lie, but Yemo suspected that they might be Northern Sand. At the very least, they weren't from the Black Sun Empire, as they didn't have the badge. "Okay, I will wait for you with Annie," Kaya said, while there was a clear hint of disappointment in her eyes. Accompanied by her royal look, it was quite seductive. "Remember to explain everything. That will be a big help to me." Yemo waved his hands at them. Luo Fei looked at Kaya in disdain and sneered, "Little witch, she dares randomly seduce people with her looks." Yemo laughed at Luo Fei and said to Yu Miaodong, "Sister Yu, this Kaya is questionable. The info Sister Yuehua gave us might have simply been superficial, but this woman is strange. I suspect she's a mutant too, but I have no evidence. Send them away after they explain things. We're not afraid of them, but we don't have time to deal with them." Hearing this, Luo Fei's face got better, as though feeling happy that Yemo wasn't seduced by Kaya. Yu Miaodong nodded. "I know. I will make them announce that as quickly as possible. You're not going back with us?" Yemo took out a camera and gave it to Yu Miaodong. "Here are the identity documents of the 5 people. Send that out together with the explanation these 2 make. I believe that after that, Luo, you should be in the clear. And tell Yixing that there's a nuclear submarine under Bai Strait. Yet our radars didn't detect it." "What?" Yemo's words shook both Yu Miaodong and Luo Fei. She thought about what could have happened if, when she was negotiating with the Indonesian officer, that nuclear submarine were to suddenly attack their fleet. No matter what happened to them, if the Indonesian representative died on Luo Yu's fleet, then Luo Yu would be facing the Union Army a second time for sure. Yemo knew what Yu Miaodong was thinking, so he smiled and said, "It's not as bad as you think. I think they can only avoid our radar but wouldn't dare attack. Don't underestimate Yixing. You aren't going to investigate that submarine by any chance, are you?" Yu Miaodong realized. How could Yemo do that alone? However, Yemo nodded. "If I'm right, the technology they use to avoid our radar must be from Yixing as well. Just ask Yixing to think of a solution, and don't worry about me. I won't do anything stupid." Chapter 659. The Dust Settles. Chapter 659. The dust settles. Yemo had just said this when he heard a loud rumble underground. He immediately knew what had happened. He hadn't expected these people to be this decisive. He was sure that the two men after them hadn't reached the nuclear submarine, but they had already blown up the tunnel. Yemo didn't need to check. The two men were dead. Sister Yu, you and Luo Fei go back immediately. Let me stay here and deal with this. No matter what, we can't continue this war. Luo Yu needs time to develop, Yemo said decisively. Yu Miaodong trusted him, so she only had to do as she was told and do her part. Also, give a message to Luo Ying and Qingxue for me. Tell them not to worry about me. No matter how long I'm away, I will be back safely, Yemo added. Although these people had blown up the tunnel, it was impossible to stay hidden from his spirit sense. He didn't know where he would be following them to nor how long it would take, so he had to make sure that Luo Ying and Qingxue didn't worry about him. Luo Fei sighed. Her little martial sister would have it harder from now on. One Ning Qingxue was already enough, but now there was a Luo Ying. After seeing at the helicopter leave, Yemo quickly left and found a hidden place to jump into the sea. He was sure that someone was watching him, but his spirit sense was limited. It could only reach 1,200 meters, so he couldn't find where the people were watching him from. But that wasn't important anymore. His priority was to follow the submarine. Yemo was also very fast in the sea. He went from the Bai Strait to where he last saw the nuclear submarine very quickly, but there was nothing there. The submarine had already left. It was very fast. Yemo rejoiced that he had left a spirit sense mark on the retractable tunnel. If he hadn't, he would have lost the submarine. It seemed that the tunnel was important for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken it away. Although the waves from the spirit sense mark were unclear that moment, Yemo could still feel it. He immediately started chasing in that direction. Before the events from the previous war could cool down, Luo Yu's declaration of war to Indonesia was a hot topic again. The reason for the war was the most absurd of the modern era. No other country would start a war over that. When Luo Yu declared war, many speculated that Indonesia would be no match for Luo Yu due to its strong records. The only real discussion topic was how long Luo Yu would need to beat the Indonesian Navy. Many thought it would take a week because Luo Yu needed some time to get to Indonesia. However, others also thought that it was only a threat and they wouldn't actually fight. But those contentions were rendered meaningless when Luo Yu started the war 10 minutes later. While many war analysts were still writing about how Luo Yu wasn't going to actually fight, the war was over. Luo Yu had only taken a few hours to annihilate the Indonesian Navy. After Luo Yu took over Bali and threatened to invade Java, its military status had been established. Although it was far from the US or Russia's, there were no countries near Luo Yu that could threaten it. More and more people wanted to move to Luo Yu now. Who didn't want to go to a country that was tough on the outside but humane on the inside? But just at this time, the internet exploded with the news of 5 tourists having disappeared where the Luo Yu's army had been camping. Moreover, 2 of them were part of the British royal family. This caused a huge uproar. Although many people realized that it might be someone else framing Luo Yu, they still had to give an explanation. If Luo Yu couldn't, it would cause war. It would involve the US and India too. Then, many people started to give up on the thought of moving to Luo Yu. These 3 countries were the military powerhouses of the world. If they attacked Luo Yu together, the country would lose for sure no matter what. Although modern warfare was mainly electronic warfare, it also was based on economic warfare. Luo Yu depended on import, hence it wouldn't last long if a real war broke out. Many people started to worry for Luo Yu. They wondered how they would face this dilemma. But then everything changed. Rod's wife and daughter appeared on Luo Yu's official TV channel and revealed what happened. They had gone to Bali for the holidays, and it had only been 3 days when war started. After this, Luo Yu started to send all the tourists back. Just when they were planning to board a plane to Singapore, they met the Bafu couple from America and the Indian tourist Saigon. They told them that they were holding all the tourists hostage and taking them to Luoyu. So they followed Bafu and ran away. Bafu said that he had a way to avoid Luoyu's army and enter Bali's inland. But instead, they brought them to Luoyu's base in order to cause a war between England and the U.S. against Luoyu. They requested them to join their organization, but Mrs. Rod rejected it. Then, Luoyu's people saved them and took them to their fleet. They are now very safe. After explaining, Mrs. Rod said, "Although I don't know why they are doing this, their intentions are very clear. They want Luoyu to go to war. Even though I don't know what organization the Bafu couple came from, I know they're from the U.S. I would like to ask our British citizens to stay cool-headed and not be deceived by them. Of course, I know a lot of people doubt my words, but there's a recording too. I believe everyone will believe me after viewing it." Then, they played Yimo's recording. It was the Bafu couple, the two black men, and the Indian man threatening them. After it was played, the truth was crystal clear. Once again, the world was shocked at Luoyu's means. Shin Qianshan breathed at ease in front of the TV. She had prepared everything. Yet, she hadn't been able to go to Luoyu due to the lockdown. But now everything was solved, and she couldn't wait to go to Luoyu. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.